sensitive. Evening, everyone. We're actually in Kansas. Tell everybody where you're at.
We're in Mays, Kansas. That's where we are. At our daughter's house. Got to see the number 2 grandson play football Monday, and get to see the oldest one, number 1 grandson, play football on Friday night, the Friday night game. So that's what we're doing here. We thought we'd come back because the oldest one, he's a senior this year, so if we don't get to see him this year, we don't get to see him. So Janice is on. Hey Janice, how you doing? And that's it. It says there's 3 on, so I guess that's me, Janice, Bob.
So there's 6 now.
So anyway, we haven't been doing a whole lot. He did a video the other day. That was the end of George is on and Clint's on. I didn't see Clint. There he is. The end of, I guess, Bikes, Blues and BBQ. So we reached out to a few different places so we can give Bikes, Blues and BBQ some help, some info, and see how it goes. So he's putting the live up on some of the Facebook pages. And it's a little warm in here. Our daughter made chicken pot pie, and so the oven was on, and it's a little warm. My cheeks look really red. Jana said hi to Clint and George. So what have you guys been doing? Prayers for all of you down in the southeast corner of the United States. That hurricane's coming through. I don't know where exactly it's going to hit yet. It looked like it was going to hit straight on at Destin, and now it looks like it might be up a little bit higher to Tampa area, I guess. I wrote my one friend that lives down in Port Charlotte. I thought maybe it was going her way, but I think it's going to be north of her. So don't know. We'll have to wait and see where it ends up hitting.
So tonight we're just going to kind of talk a little bit about the rallies that we've done this year. Just kind of give you a wrap up of what we thought. We got a couple things we want to talk to you about, so we'll kind of wait for a few more people to come on. We want to talk a little bit about Sturgis, about transportation, and so we're going to go from there. I guess we'll turn this over.
We're in our daughter's office.
And the light's not the greatest. I had the window open, but it was kind of a glare on my side. So, hey, it is the best that it is. So,
that's what we got to offer.
Yeah. So a lot of you have seen, we'll go backwards for right now. We'll start with Bikes, Blues, and BBQ. We'll tell you a little bit about what we've got planned for them. We never got to go during the Fayetteville years. A lot of times what we've been talking to people, a lot of people are misunderstanding some of the things that happened during Fayetteville. For one, they said like Kid Rock, they used to have all these great concerts there. Well, they really had nothing to do with Bikes, Blues, and BBQ. It's just that those fell on the same time that they booked them during that time, which we're going to try to reach out to Walmart. They have the big one there in Rogers, an outdoor amphitheater, and we're going to see if we can get some kind of concert on either Friday or Saturday night that could link in with, Bikes, Blues, and BBQ. So that would be one more way to bring something bigger, because everybody always wants a big concert. Well, they got an amphitheater that holds about 11,000 people. Like I say, it's all outside. About 3,000 seats are actually covered, and the rest are out. It's on a hillside. And Walmart built it and all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of neat. So we'll see how that all works out. So we got a lot of things going on with Bikes, Blues, and BBQ. Some of the things that's going on, just to kind of give you an idea, some people want to call Eureka Springs Bike Fest. They're trying to separate what's going on. And that's always a problem doing, because all that does is confuse people. And so we're going to try to find out what it's going to take to make it blanketed. The whole thing's called Bikes, Blues, and BBQ. If you want to call it something else, you need to have it on a different weekend. Don't mess with people's minds. We're going to be bringing out some information to where you'll be able to go to all the different hotels, and you'll be able to get prices and stuff with that. Campgrounds. We're going to have a setup a lot like Sturgis has. You can go to that sturgis.com, and there's all that information there. You can click on lodging, Airbnbs, and all that stuff. So we're going to be setting that up. We don't even need their help to do this. We can get this going before they even sit down and talk about it. But because we've already went through in Eureka Springs and got all the hotels' information. So we're going to be calling them, checking with them. There's like 54 of them, but 4 of them have been closed for a long time. So they're probably not going to be open by next year.
Why not?
But so try to get some of this stuff set up. There's hundreds of rides out there. I can't even say enough about what it is. We may be traveling out in the next 30 days back there to sit down with both cities, try to figure out what we can do to make this bigger and better.
Show them the potential that they have there.
So we're talking
I
with
don't
some of the
think they realize
different, like Leesburg, for instance. We just got off the phone with them today, got some information from them. They kind of break even. They're not really looking to make any money. They're just looking to, for the businesses to get more access, more stuff that they can make. So the city itself, but I mean, they spend a lot for concerts. Half the money they invest is for the concerts that they have. They bring in some more notoriety bands.
Wayne wants to know if we've ever traveled up our miles that we've done in one season.
Yeah, she does on our when we
For
do
the
our taxes
and stuff.
We have it. I don't know it right off.
I just know I could total it all up. I know from each rally, from here to here.
But at the end of the year, I have to put it all down as the mileage. I think we're around 20 or 25,000 miles is what we usually do. But now we're starting to add the motorcycle miles on because everything we do is related to the channel. We don't really just go out to, even when we go out to eat, if we're going with a subscriber, it's still part of the channel. So pretty much everything we do, we don't count our food as any kind of expenses. We've always counted our mileage that I get on my truck. I count if we had to pay for any campgrounds or anything like that, we count that. And that's pretty much all we really count. If I have custom shirts made, I count that. But I mean, we don't count any of the food that we eat. We don't take off when we go out with a bunch of subscribers or YouTubers or whatever. We don't really count that meal. We just don't want to drink with the IRS. You don't want to bring any extra attention to yourself.
Yes, pipes is on.
So hope you guys are feeling good, feeling better.
Yeah.
So get back to Bikes, Blues and BBQ. So Rogers has only been doing this 3 years now. Pig Trail has had it for quite a while that they've had vendors there. So they're pretty set up and they have a really good selection of vendors there. Good selection of bikes. We haven't got back with them yet to see how many they had. As of Saturday, they had about 109 they sold. They're probably in the 120s-ish. But we haven't given them a call yet. We have a couple of things I want to ask because we've already gotten some comments from some of you guys. And if you want to make comments on things that you'd like to recommend for Bikes, Blues and BBQ, you either need to email us or put the comment on one of the videos that we put out. Like the last video I put out, I actually asked that question. So we're already getting emails. I'm getting some questions. One of the big ones everybody said, which a lot of people are saying, well, I've seen this is happened to us too. Where's the barbecue? Well, the barbecue was down around on Saturday. Had a big contest there. If you watch the video that I just put out yesterday, you'd see where the barbecue contest was. But yes, they need to have more barbecue places. This year at Eureka Springs, Harley-Davidson, they had that one vendor now that sells food that has a restaurant. Well, we're going to talk to Kyle and he's going to have to get something else in there because not everybody wants to eat hamburgers. You got to, because that guy, if he's got, if somebody's selling barbecue out there, that's not competitive with what he's doing. Now, his answer might be, well, they have to eat mine. No, we'll just go down the street and get barbecue. If I don't
want to leave the lot and you don't really want that.
So you want to get to where there's enough stuff going on there that keeps people there all afternoon. So the other comment that people gave us is there's not enough blues bands there, which I kind of started with the cities in Rogers, and the 4 bands I looked at that were headliners, they were not, none of them were blues. They were most of them were rock and roll, and one was a country band. Kyle had said over at the dealership he had a blues band. Well, the idea of this is we need to get, you call it Bikes, Blues and barbecue. You need to get both of those more involved. We got plenty of bikes. We just need more bikes, or blues, and more barbecue. So we're going to talk to him about that. And also going to talk to the city more about that. Maybe we can have a 2-day competition. Have 2 different days that they're competition. Because what it was, we just heard from one of the where we ate the barbecue at. They said it was like $10 you pay, and you get a little sample from 10 different places. And you get to, I don't know if you get to vote. I don't know. We didn't even go in there because we just didn't have the time to do it. Same thing with the demo truck that Harley-Davidson brings in. So far, everybody that I talked to that's wrote to me said the same thing. They had problems finding it too. What?
George said they need a map that everybody gives out like the Black Hills does. Show you where all the rides and stuff are.
So the problem with that is it's a really big area. And I don't know what it would take to make it. Because the ones that Sturgis has had, they've had them forever. And so here, there's so much stuff because I've got a bunch of books that I'm going to be going through and trying to make some up. But it's you almost have to pay a production company to lay the maps out, to put the patterns on there and show you, because some of them are in Eureka Springs. They have a lot of loops that you go on. It's not like
I Like Ormond Loop?
Sturgis, where you're only going down,
Thanks, David.
one road. You're going down Iron Mountain, or you're doing Needles Highway. Now you got the loop that goes around Custer Park, but I mean that's not a ride really. It's not a bad ride, but I mean you're there mainly to look at the bison and the animals and that kind of thing like that. So you don't really have a lot. Spearfish is just one road. Van Knocker Road is just one road. Now you can add roads to it and make it. But what I found in Eureka Springs, one of the ones I wanted to go on, went way down into Arkansas, and it was basically an 8-hour ride that you would take, and it just looped you around. You had to go all the way into Harrison to get it. So it was about an hour ride from Eureka Springs and then an hour back. So you're looking at about 11 or 12-hour ride. That's probably not even stopping for food or gas or anything else. So it wasn't that many miles, but it was just a windy road. Somebody else told us about, which we didn't make it to, the Arkansas Grand Canyon's a cool place. Some of the places could be just a destination that you go to, and we'll be working on that to try to get it going. Sometimes maybe we'll even make a website page where you can go to and you can post your favorite ride. Because one guy told me today there's the Arkansas, what did I say that was called? Wasn't the Pig Trail?
Oh, the Tail of the Dragon.
Yeah.
Arkansas Dragon.
Yeah, Arkansas Dragon. And then when he ended up watching the rest of the video, he says, oh, you went on part of it on that 103, which that 103 was just a killer. It was a great ride. It could be better than an Iron Mountain ride. But I mean, we just touched on it because the Pig Trail ride really isn't that exciting. There's some curves, there's one or two jackknifes there, but I mean, most of it was, it's a long ride. Somebody else told me the other day, it's 100 and something miles. Well, yeah, if you go all the way to the end, but
40.
But if you go probably 25 miles on each side of it, isn't much of a ride. It's got some curves. And that's it. That one little section where we showed you the sign that actually says it's the Pig Trail, down to the road where it makes the curve and it opens up before you get to that little grocery store or whatever it is.
Yes.
That was the only place that was really fun. It was a lot of curves. It banked, had a couple switchbacks on it, and that's the part I would say was the Tail of the Dragon. But yes, they consider that whole road, but I'm not interested.
George says that's a long 11 to 12-hour ride is a long ride.
Yep. So that's why I said you got to look at some of this stuff, and if you made it up, you got up at 7 o'clock in the morning. But I mean, you're not riding that many miles, but it's just a windy road. So we're going to try to see if we can get out there before the rally next year and maybe do some of these rides and document them to kind of show people, hey, here's one you want to check out. You can do this, you can do that. But I mean, it's not.
What if we go a week before Ocean City, do the rides, go to Ocean City, and then come back?
I don't know. That'd be a lot of traveling. So we'll have to wait and see how that all works out. So those are just some of the things. We've talked to some of the people that are on the board for Bikes, Blues and BBQ and Rogers are actually people we already know. So we have some contacts there. Eureka Springs, we have some pull in there to get into with some of the people there. We're not looking to get paid. We're not charging for anything. We just said if you want us to come out and help us and explain things to you, we need some of the compensation for flying out and flying back. We don't need anything for doing it. We're not looking to, maybe someday we'll get into doing that, but at this moment, we'd rather just help out a few places and try to get, because I look at Eureka Springs, and I've said this many times, it is the closest thing to Sturgis. And I always tell you the same thing. It's all about the riding, which there's a ton of it out there, just like in Sturgis. You've got great people to come to the event. You've got great businesses and stuff to talk to. People are, it's the Midwest. Their people are just more easygoing. They're not so riled up and things like that. And the last thing is most of the businesses welcome us there. It's not as good as Sturgis, but it's close. But I mean, all little towns aren't welcoming us and things like that. But I mean, a lot of the little towns around there, we haven't really got to them all. Fayetteville don't count anymore. It's not a little town. Rogers really isn't a little town. Eureka Springs is because really Bikes, Blues and BBQ was originally just in Fayetteville. That was their area that they covered. And so now it's Rogers. So anything that goes outside of that really isn't Bikes, Blues and BBQ. But what I say is just like in Sturgis. If you're out of Devil's Tower and you talk to them, they'll say it's going on during the Sturgis Rally. If you're over in Deadwood or Custer or wherever you're at, they're going to have things relating to the Sturgis Motorcycle Rally. So they were under
the Sturgis Motorcycle T-shirts. It says Devil's Tower or Hill City, but it also says Sturgis Motorcycle Rally.
So it's all linked together, and it's easier that way. Over here in Laughlin, they tried to do a deal where they were trying to, when the guy first took it over, moved it over to the Bullhead City side, a couple other people started their own rally at the same time. They called it something else, or they called it this or that. And it was so many people were just like, what is going on? They were all on Facebook, and they were all saying kind of the same thing. What is the real rally? What is going on? Who has the concerts? Who does this? And so that really makes it confusing when they do that. And I know it's mainly a few places over in Eureka Springs area that are using this Bike Fest name. And like I said, if you want to do that, move it to a different weekend, and you can call it whatever you want. It's kind of like in the spring, they do a spring rally.
Spring fling.
And that's what it's called, Eureka Springs Spring Rally. And then I think there's some vendors at the dealership, but not many. And it's more of Eureka Springs doing that, and that's fine. But we want to try to get this to be big. Will it be ever big as Sturgis? I doubt it. But there's just so much potential here when I see it. And we love the area because it's, we lived in Illinois, Missouri, and you get there and you got the oaks and the elms and all that stuff. The woods are great to ride through. And we didn't see too many awful animals coming out in front of us. Seen a lot of dead skunks, some armadillos. We seen 2 baby deers, but they were on the side. They moved by the time we got there. But we didn't see anything running in front of us like you do in Sturgis. So that's kind of where we're at with Bikes, Blues, and BBQ. And we'll give you more information on that as we work on that and see what we're doing. If we get the pages up, we'll let everybody know through ours that, hey, here's some places you can start looking at hotel rooms, kind of get some prices. Probably same thing. They're probably not going to post anything, change prices or anything at most of these hotels until January or something. But what I did is I looked a couple weeks before it started, and just looking, I can only find 10 hotels that were even listed. And we knew good and well there was way more than 10.
Well, and you have to find out if what they told us is true.
I don't think mostly every hotel we've seen had at least one bike sitting in front of it. It wasn't like there was she's saying that some people don't want the motorcycle rally there.
No, they told us that the reason
I don't buy that either. She's saying that what somebody told us is they want to use the hotels and say they're Airbnbs. That way you have to pay for the cleaning to leave the room. Well, if I booked an Airbnb and I showed up to Motel 6, I'd want a refund right there. That's not an Airbnb. That's a motel room. There's a difference between an Airbnb. Airbnb is more like a house, or it's like you got a kitchen in it. You got, it's not just one room and a bathroom. And so it's not that. So we'll find out. We're going to call these places and see. And if we get somebody that's a butthole, they won't be on our channel. They won't be on the listing of things that's going on. Yes, and there is a lot of Airbnbs out there. A lot of them. That's where we stayed at. We stayed at the Doghouse this year, twice in a row. Great place to stay. If you ever get out there, other than rally time, because I don't know if we're going to be stuck. Not stuck, but I don't know if he's going to put us in there every year in the same place. Great place. A lot of room. Same thing. It's an Airbnb. It's different. It's all by itself. You don't have other motel rooms that see you making a bunch of noise and stuff like that in it. And then there's also bed and breakfast and stuff out there. So it's just kind of neat. We've got a couple more videos that I'm going to be putting up. One is we took a little scenic ride around town. I think they call it like Route 62 or something.
Or something.
And it took you around and seen a lot of these really cool old houses. And it's just really neat. And there's also a little waterfall you go by, and it's I don't know how long it took us. We didn't really time it, but we only ran around most of the time I was in first gear because we were just trying to get the shots of the houses and stuff like that. It was just really, really cool. Just a really neat area. If you've never been down there, I don't know how to explain the town, because it's a lot of it's made out of the big stones that have they're like rounded and stuff like a block house would be, but it's the stones. It's got all the, I get, because it's made back in the 1800s, and it's just, they're cool stones, and there's a lot of historic there, and it's very different from any other little town that we've been to. It's very hilly. Some of the streets are a little hard, even on motorcycles, to get around on it. Actually, if you're going down Main Street, if you want to go up to the main street where they have all the, what's that called? I can't think of the name of that road when you went up the hill.
Spring.
Yeah, Spring Street. If you go up that way, actually, if you're coming the other way, you can't get to it because you have to actually make a hairpin turn to get back to it. You could never turn, even with a motorcycle.
It says no.
Yeah, it says no right turn. But it'd be tough to turn on a motorcycle. Small bike, big bike, you're a little tough. and to make that turn because you got a little bit of a lump and then up. But going the other way, it's cool. And then you kind of go up into 1S and you go up into the rest of the town, and it's really cool. We got, like I said, we got some video of that. I have not shown that. So we may, and maybe tomorrow I might put that up as a video, put some music behind it. We're really not going to say a whole lot with that, or either two of those, but it was just to kind of give you a feel of what that town feels like. Rogers is more like a regular town, city. I think it's got 50 or 60,000 people. It was a pretty good sized town when I seen the sign coming out. I don't remember the exact population, but there's some we didn't even get because there was that a Kawasaki or Yamaha dealer that had the V8
Kawasaki.
trikes.
And you know how there's a Honda dealer right next to it.
Yeah, so they had some big trucks on their lot that we didn't even get to show you what was there. Main Street too, when we went down that 2nd Street, which is Arkansas Street on the backside, there were some vendors over there. You had to look really hard to see them, but on the right side there, they had some vendors. On the left, they had a few food trucks and stuff that were over there on that side. So it is growing. And we'll see what we can make it into, but it is a great ride or a great rally I would put on the list. We're going to talk to them, this is almost impossible to do, but it should be a Saturday to a Saturday rally because of the riding that you want to do there. Plus, like last year, it rained 2 or 3 days. Well, it's only 4 days long, so but if you have one that goes the whole week, hopefully you'd have one weekend that would be a good weekend. And but when we drove through, so that was I was saying about I went on the internet and I only found one place 2 weeks for the event that had a Friday and Saturday open, and it was kind of like these little cabins that were, I won't say where it was at, but they're only $90, so they weren't much. Well, when we drove through at 10 or 11 o'clock on Saturday night, there was a lot of hotels with lots of rooms left over. So there wasn't, some were really crowded. The Best Western was really crowded. A lot of the stuff that was right around the dealership there in Eureka Springs was crowded. But you might want to stay in Rogers. Rogers has the brand new stuff that's over there. They got all the big stuff that's over there. The Hilton, the Ramada Inn, all the big hotels are all right there, right off the highway there. I guess that's 40. Is that 40 that runs through? Or is that a different highway? That one that goes?
If you go all the way down.
Well, where's the convention center? What highway is right next to that?
49.
So by the 49 there, that's where a lot of new stuff that Rogers has built. So that kind of gives you that idea. But if you were thinking about a small rally, and it's kind of nice because it's in Arkansas, it's kind of central to everybody because it's not too far. And what bikes did you see? What did they say the bikes that Joey worked on? Where are they from?
Oh, I think he said they worked from Missouri, Kansas, Texas, and there was another state I can't remember.
Louisiana, maybe.
Yeah, Louisiana.
And so that was just the bikes they worked on. So that just kind of shows you what that's pulling right now. And it's a pretty big area, so it's not super crowded with bikes. Some people were saying that they thought it was a less crowd than we were last year. I was feeling it was more. When I talked to Kyle from the dealership, he felt that it was more. A couple other people told me they felt that it was more. But I think with this year, it was such great weather that everybody's out riding.
Yeah.
So they went out and rode all day. So, which was really funny because when it came back to Saturday, now, like I said, we didn't go over to Rogers Saturday night, but Saturday night in Eureka Springs was really quiet. So that was really weird. Friday was packed. Everybody was everywhere. So that's what we got on that.
So Anthony wants to know if you've ever ridden Indian Challenger. I don't remember what you rode. Was it the one that started with a P?
I don't know what I rode. I don't know. I have to go back and look.
It was a full dresser.
Yeah. So I actually rode the one when I went to it the very first time I rode an Indian. I went to the dealership in Myrtle Beach and I said, "What bike would you recommend?" And that might have been the one they recommended. And I took it. But once again, you're only going through a subdivision, making a couple turns, drove it about 5 miles, turn around, come back. To me, demo rides suck because you really can't get the feel of a bike. You're not going to be able to take it out and try to do the curves. When I took in Black Hills Harley, when I got to take that bike out, did 50 miles on the road glide and also on the street glide, that was a ride. I could feel the difference in the two bikes. I could see the handling of them both. That's what I'm interested in. I'm not so interested in, I guess the only reason they do a demo ride is just for you to kind of get a feel. Some dealers won't even let you ride a new bike. You go in, you're going to buy it. And if you don't like it, you can bring it back. But they're not even going to let you test ride it.
We'll have to do that next year when we get out early to Sturgis. Go to the Indian dealer, and I'm sure even if she's got a used bike, and let you take it out.
And so, yes, maybe very possible. But So this year she was just really busy before the rally. We didn't get a lot of time to talk to her. So yes, we do want to do that.
Daytona Dave also wants to make sure we say prayers for everybody in Florida and in Georgia because that storm's coming through, and hopefully it's just a storm.
And a lot of them are saying that. We've got the campground. We usually stay in Orlando. They're just saying it's going to be a tropical storm, maybe 25 or 30 mile an hour wind. All this stuff, which is everybody we talk to in Florida that actually lives in Florida all says the same thing. It's just one more hurricane coming through. Somebody might get hit.
That's what it was.
But the rest of the state, it'll just be a tropical storm. And her friend's been down there for 25 years. And the worst she's had is her house was flooded. She had a moat around her house.
It was at Ian a couple of years ago, last year.
But I know some of the ones right on the coast have been damaged and stuff like that. We've seen that when we're down there. But yeah, we definitely seems like New Orleans is the one that seems to get beat up more than anybody else. But yeah.
So Tony wanted to know what we know about the Waynesville rally, the one that's going on at the same time as Myrtle Beach rally in the fall.
The Smoky one?
Yeah.
I don't know nothing about it. This is their second year, I think, for them. The vendors, the more vendors are going there. They don't like what's been going on in Myrtle Beach with Barefoot Landing. So Barefoot Landing will have some vendors there, but it'll be in the House of Blues parking lot. If you were there 2 years ago, I guess, they kind of moved the vendors around. They had some that were more back off a little ways. You had to kind of come in and see them, where originally you first came in and the vendors were all right there left and right. Well, they took half of the vendors that were in the front and moved them back to, actually they were on the Bikes and Blue, or they were on the House of Blues parking lot. And so that's where they're going to be this year. How many vendors there for fall? I have no idea. We're not going to the fall rally. So I don't know much more than that, but you should go out there and check in. I know Joey with All About Customs is going to be there. I forget who else told me they were going to be in there, but they're supposed to have lighting and suspension and all different things. I don't know if any of the big trucks are going to go in there. I don't know.
Last year, JMP Cycles was down at Spokes and Bones.
Yeah, they were out in front, which I actually thought was a great location for them. That was during the spring rally. So that's about all we know about that. But that's the other one, Smoky Mountain Rally. I kind of looked at it for this. It's coming. I think it's supposed to be this weekend. It's going to rain Friday and Saturday. They're saying a 90% chance on Friday and 100% chance on Saturday for them.
Because I think the hurricane's coming up.
So yes, so it's not gonna be a great weekend for them. But you never know when you go to a rally. That's the bad thing about when you do a 3 or 4 day rallies. Is you have that problem that usually if it's going to get rained out, the whole thing's going to get rained out, because usually a storm comes through. It takes 2 or 3 days to get through. And that's pretty normal. Just like we had last year in Bikes, Blues and BBQ. It pretty much rained. I think we had 1 day we did a little bit of riding, and the rest of it, I think it rained pretty much the whole time after that. And
so like said, an Indian Pursuit, I think that's what they put you on.
I don't know.
I think that's the one that had the cooling seat and all that stuff. And he was like, "Oh, that's cool. How does that work?" And so he said,
"Which I like the Indian. Someday we may own an Indian. Corporate Harley doesn't seem like they really want to do anything for us anymore. So it's like, screw them." I rode the Indians that I have rode. I noticed that they're a lot lighter. They're a lot easier to back up and move around and things like that. The only thing bad about an Indian is you just don't have all the accessories that you do on a Harley. The fun thing about a Harley is it's like when I was 16, 17 years old or 18, when I fixed my cars all up, you could get parts anywhere to fix them all up and do that stuff. And pretty much for the 2014s and up today, except for the new 24s, they're not all the parts are out yet for them. But you can customize your bike, you can make it sound like you want. Yes, you can get different slip-ons for Indians, but you just don't have all the options that you have for a Harley. I think that's one of the things that makes Harley more popular in the last 10 years is that, because after I started talking to people, I actually did that survey. I think it was this year. I went up to a lot of guys and I said, let me ask you a question. When you were in high school, did you fix up your car? Did you put exhaust on it or jack it up or put wide tires on it? And pretty much almost, I bet you everybody, maybe 1 out of 10 would have told me no, but the rest all said, yeah. We're reliving our teens in the Harley Davidsons that we have. Because a lot of people will say that. I get that every once in a while. Somebody will write on the channel, what do I have to do to my bike if I buy a new Harley? You don't do nothing. Nothing. There's not a thing you got to do to that bike. There's features, you can put a bigger windshield on it if you don't want the wind blowing on, but if you wear a full face helmet all the time, not a big deal. So you can get away with not
It's
after.
got everything on it that you need. There's nothing that you have to have.
It's like a car. You can buy a car and get in and drive it the rest of your life and never do nothing. But you can go and put some seat covers on it, or you can put some fancy knobs or something on the dash, and there's things you can do. But with a Harley, people that's one of the reasons Harley Davidson does so much. That's why they make standard bikes, and they want you to spend $5,000 to $10,000, $20,000 on your bike before you pick it up, because they'll add it to your loan, which is not a smart thing to do, because you'll be upside down and you'll be stuck in that bike. And if you do try to sell it or you want to trade it in, you're going to be upside down again on the next bike. It's just a big mess. And we'll do a video on that soon and talk about buying a bike, what you should know, what you should do. And because at this point, corporate, I don't know what the problem is. They've talked to us off and on the first couple of years. I think it's because we're not 100. We only own Harleys, but I mean we've owned them for a long time, and we've had quite a few now. But it's so I think because we talk about other bikes, and because we have other people on here that have other kinds of bikes. Yes, we're more of a Harley channel because there is probably more Harleys out at events than you see Indians or Hondas or Yamahas or Kawasaki's or Royal Enfields. But I have no problem checking out any bike. Which if we bought an Indian, we would buy a used Indian. I have no intentions of buying a new Indian. But maybe one that's a few years old to kind of play around with and ride in different events and take them different places. But if we're starting to fly more to these events, we're only going to have a handful of events that we're going to be around here, anywhere from, which if we started going back to Lake of the Ozarks, we would probably pull the trailer to Lake of the Ozarks, Eureka Springs, and then we would visit the family here, just like here in Kansas or in Illinois, Missouri. So we would kind of do that. But if we go back and start talking about the rallies, right before that, this one was Ocean City. And first year we went to Ocean City, I didn't really have an opinion on it because I just didn't. One, we rode that Honda automatic, and that was kind of a messed up thing. But you can't complain when you get a free bike to ride.
That's right.
And it had its benefits, especially in the city. You'd have to pull the clutch in or not, and that was kind of nice. And it was a lighter bike. But there was other issues with the bike, but we really didn't know the area. That's what kind of hurts when we do even Bikes, Blues and BBQ. We just don't, you all know we were in Sturgis for 8 weeks. We go to Daytona. We're usually there 2 or 3 weeks before the rally starts. So most of these rallies, we're there at least a week ahead of time. Myrtle Beach, we're usually there a week ahead of time to check out what's going on. Panama City, we've been there for a week before it started. So some of these rallies, we've had time to, Leesburg, we're actually in Florida all that time. So we have time to check out a lot of that. And that's what we like because we can find out what's going on before you get there. But Ocean City is one we don't. We show up on Wednesday. The rally actually starts on Wednesday and we're gone by Sunday. So it doesn't give us a lot of time. So what happened last year is we didn't do a lot of riding. We actually went to the Purdue Stadium and we went a back way, which was okay compared to what we did this time. This time we just took the straight route there and kind of not really highways. They're routes, I guess, or whatever they call them. State highways that we rode on to get to Purdue this year, went to the dealership and stuff like that. But last year that's kind of about all we really did. Oh, I guess we did ride up the coast.
Yes.
Rider Exit took us up there last year and took us to a couple small towns, which was kind of neat. So this year, what I added was I wanted to go out and see the wild horses, and you've seen that video. It wasn't quite what I thought. I thought they'd be more like the Mustangs that we see out west. They're like 20 or 30. Yeah. Here it was almost like you could go out there and pet the horse.
Pretty much. Although they told you not to do that.
$1,000 fine. And
stay 40 feet away.
Yeah, but I mean, they're standing right on the bicycle trail. So people riding bicycle right by them, and they just look at you. So it's like, I guess they say all that because they don't want, but people probably feed them. And that's why you don't really have to pay to go in the park. But I mean, it was kind of cool to go up there and ride around. And that was kind of a cool area. We were kind of in a marsh area there to ride around. And we actually met some subscribers and stuff went with us. And we met some there while we were there. So it was kind of a neat day. It was a fun day. And then we wanted to go to that Secrets. And glad I went. I probably won't go back at night. It was just way too crowded, too much standing. It wasn't more exciting than during the day. But it's nice. I'm glad I went. We want to go next year to Fishtails. And then Emory HVAC, it wants to take us up to New Jersey and go over the ferry and take that adventure and then go up there.
I think.
Yeah, and then go up there and ride around up in the New Jersey area. And he said, what do you think about that? Oh, sounds good to me. I always like something new. So that's kind of on the agenda next year. So we got 2 new places to kind of hit there next year. We didn't spend much down at the boardwalk. We didn't really I think we were only down there for maybe an hour. We went down to that Wild Bill's and it was packed. And it was, and they had some good bands and stuff. And I guess we heard Styx starting to play. Yeah. And that's as far as we got. And, but I mean, we got to the point now we decided we really don't want to hear these concerts anymore. There's too much stuff to do at a motorcycle rally that we ain't got time to stand there
for
3 hours to listen to a band. That's great, but if I'm going to do that, I'd rather pay good money and get a nice seat and enjoy a concert, not have to worry about trying to get my bike out and how bad the traffic's going to be. It's a lot easier when you're sitting in your car or your truck in the air condition than sitting on a hot motorcycle trying to get out of a place. So that's just us. But I know a lot of people like the concerts. They like the big names. They like.
We did go to Pickles.
Yep.
I had a pickle shot.
Yep. So we did try that out, and we ate there, and it was pretty good. And we did a video on that.
So that's what Gene Kelly said. He said you need to go to Fishtails, Pickles Pub, and Harpoon Hannah's.
All right, so that's 2. We have to add Harpoon Hannah's and the Fishtail. So we will get to that next year. So, but I mean, that's kind of how we have to do that because we're not there very much. So we just kind of have to kind of check it out and figure out what we want to do. Now, what we did different in these last 2 rallies is we spent more time with you guys. We've had several subscribers / friends that we now have done things with. Rider X pretty much was with us pretty much all through Ocean City, which is not a big deal. If you're going to do what I'm going to do, I don't have a problem with you coming along, watching what we do and having lunch with us or dinner or whatever we're doing. But you got to kind of do what I want to do, not necessarily what you want to do. Now, you may have something you say, hey, this is going on. I might go, hey, let's go check that out. That sounds pretty neat. But so that's not a problem. But it ended up working out pretty good this 2 times here, where sometimes, because I think what made this better than normally, sometimes we did it in Daytona this year, first of the year. We spent way too much time talking to people. We'd sit down and it'd be 2 hours. We'd be chatting with somebody. Like and then you go to somebody else and it's another 2 hours. And it's like, I'm not getting anything done here. We're not filming anything. So this way, what ended up working better is because they're going with us to where when we're at an event, we're talking to them and I'm filming, or we're eating and I'm filming that. And they're in which you've seen some, if you watch the videos, you see them in the videos and what they're eating and all that kind of stuff. But it's not high tech. We're just kind of getting some quick shots of what everybody's eating and what they like and give your opinion. So that's a little different from what we normally do, where we're just all by ourselves. Now, in this case, it did work out. We didn't really have any problems that I missed anything that I wanted to do because we had people with us. So everybody was pretty much, was good. No problems at all. So that was something different that we've done this time that some of you may want to be involved with, because a lot of people want to know where we're at, what are we doing, and how do we do it. Well, a little bit of here worked which Ocean City worked really good because we stayed with Emery HVAC and his friends that he was with, and a couple of them watched us. And then Rider X, we had already been talking to him before he got down here, and he was only a quarter of a mile or half a mile down the street where he was staying at. So it was easy, because he'd say, well, now we weren't together 100% of the time. They went out at night, and the worst night didn't get home till 4, and we were back by 10 or 11. And next night they got back about 2 in the morning. So yeah, they went out and did their partying and drinking.
Which is fine.
And they just said they wanted to do some riding with us. And so they knew we wanted to go see the horses. So we went out and did that. And then from there, we went over to the Oasis bar where they had the midget spanking. And we're going to do a video on that here soon, too. I need to put that up, too. We'll put it on YouTube and see if they allow it. If they don't, I have another page to put it on that you don't have to pay to see it. And we'll just let you know what that is. And I may put it on the Patreon so people can see it there, too, if they already have members there.
Happy Wednesday to you, too.
So that's kind of... So that's what kind of happened. So Ocean City, I was very pleased with. The weather was excellent. It was actually better than Bikes, Blues, and BBQ. It was pretty much, most of the days were like in the 70s, maybe barely touched 80, but the humidity was so high. Because like first day we were there, it's like 72 degrees and we're sweating. And she's like, how hot is it? And I'm like, 72. That ain't very hot.
It don't feel like it.
We're just not used to humidity. I almost passed out in Eureka Springs on Saturday. From all of that. Yeah. So so both those last 2 rallies, very good. Highly recommend them. The difference between the 2 are, which you already know about Bikes, Blues, and BBQ. I told you it's good riding. There's some good vendors there, good people, great place to explore. Lots of stuff to go see. And then Ocean City, it is pretty much a drinking rally and a vendor rally. There's more vendors at Ocean City than what is at Bikes, Blues and BBQ. Just FYI. So most of it's all at the convention center. That's where 90% of them are. The rest of the vendors that are kind of scattered around really ain't worth going to anyway. But I mean, I think Randy's Tire was down some alley. I seen him on Facebook,
My secret somewhere.
but I never actually seen him there. But if you needed tires, but there was a guy over at no, it was over in Ocean City. They had Bikes Blues BBQ guy was selling tires. So both of those are worth going to, checking out and seeing. So the back up to that is we go back to Sturgis, of course. You know, Sturgis this year was just great for us. We couldn't have asked for a better Sturgis other than the actual rally. Just went like that. It was gone. Couldn't even, by the time we took a breath, it was over. So we got to do that. We got to do something different with that, which I'm thinking maybe doing what I was going to do. And I kind of changed my mind. Just do lives and then put the rest of those videos out at the end. But we'll do our 8 weeks before a show. And you get so many people that we'd walk up to and hand a card and they're like, oh, I seen one of your videos a couple weeks ago. Oh, I seen. So pretty much everybody that we talked to had seen at least one of the videos we put out in 8 weeks. Ideas, hopefully they would watch more, but we'll see. Can't get everything. But it was really great rally for us. No complaints. Everything went really smooth. There was nothing, you know, it didn't really rain that much. I don't know if it rained at all. I don't think we ever put our rain gear on during the rally. It rained the Sunday. The Sunday after for the race, it rained.
And then before the rally, when we were in Rapid City, it kind of,
right,
we were there
Thursday
2 weeks.
Or something.
We were there 2 weeks. The first week was fine. The second week got real cold and rainy, misty. It wasn't pouring down rain. It was just misty, nasty, you know, that cold, yucky rain.
So no complaints about Sturgis. And if you've never been to Sturgis, you definitely need to put in your book on your list. I'm highly recommending the 85th, which is next year, the 25th, 2025. Why? It's going to be a little more crowded, but I'm believing, this is my opinion, and I'm right a lot of the times when I look at this forecast and what I predict, that I think it's going to be the last big rally for Sturgis that we're going to see. You know, people say, well, how about the 100th? Most of the people that go right now, I would say half the people that are going to the rally this year, next 2025, will be dead by the time the 100th comes. We probably won't be around by the 100th.
15 years.
That's still a long time. So, you know, it will be 80 years old. You know, I don't have no intentions. I'm not, yes, there's guys out there 90 years old riding bikes, 80 years old. And no problem. I'm glad you do it. Me, I'm not going to do it. It just isn't. I can see as I get older, I'm not as good a rider as I was when I was younger. And you're not as stable. Your feet aren't as good. You know, you're just not as good as I used to be. I worry more now riding than I did before. But that's just me. But that's my answer. I don't know if it'll be as big as the 75th, but I think it's going to be our biggest rally because Sturgis has finally admitted through their business agent that does the bookkeeping and all that since the 75th, the rallies have been getting less and less and less money coming into it. And people say, well, that's because they're waiting for the 85th. No, we had the 80th. You know, that didn't do a whole lot.
But that was during.
But I mean, COVID. But even at that, you're not. I'm not saying the 90th. I don't think we're going to see. The whole idea of all this is what we see in Sturgis this year. We're seeing more cars coming in. The problem with cars are they don't buy anything from the real vendors that are there. They don't need any new handlebars
on their motorcycles.
That's right. So that's the money. You figure if you got rid of all the vendors in Sturgis that sell motorcycle stuff, gear, they were all gone. How much money you think Sturgis would lose by the permits of those businesses? Some of these businesses live off the rally. They make their money. The 3 weeks of the rally is where they make all their money. That's their break even for the year. If it wasn't for the rally, actually the city of Sturgis, because they didn't do very good these last 2 years, they're raising the property tax 3.5%. They just announced it. I just got a bulletin from the city. So come January 1st, property values, more taxes. So because they didn't make the money last year, in 2023, they were $350,000 in the hole. So Sturgis had to take a 10% cut off of all utilities. All offices in the city limits of Sturgis had to cut their budget by 10%.
Offices, all city departments.
Yeah. So, you know, that just shows you. One, they need to there's a whole lot of other stuff going on. The new mayor's coming in. They got an election coming on. A lot of stuff's going on in Sturgis. A lot of people are rolling over, and because they've done a lot of things. Sturgis has done some things that I've disagreed for years. They started buying property. And the city has no business buying property. They're buying property. They wanted to build this $5 million water park, which would have, all it was going to be a bunch of fountains and slides. And it's like, for the people of Sturgis. And how long is it going to take to recoup that money? And then you go right up to Spearfish, and they got one there. So it's like, finally, the city voted, enough people made enough petitions and stuff in the city limits, they stopped it. But this property, they paid a fortune for it. And that's what took all their excess money they had, because of course they paid cash for it. So it took all the money they had. So last year they didn't make enough money to replenish that. And same thing now. They don't really have the money in the budget. So it's just a mess. And just a bad thing about little cities, they get a lot of money.
So Karen said way too many wrecks this year too.
Yep, a lot of wrecks, a lot of deaths. You know, we've had 8 or 9, which I thought the girl that got ran over at Buffalo Chip died, and she didn't. Which I can't find the one that I seen that somebody from her family I thought said that she had passed away, but I see a bunch of videos now saying that she's still alive. She's actually, I think she's coming home, I think, and coming out of the hospital. And so I don't think she's conscious or anything, but I mean, she's the other person, the lady that hit the 79 guardrail coming to Sturgis with her husband, she died. So that's going to put us at, I think, about 8 people have died during the Sturgis rally. And so that's tough, and it just shouldn't be. And it's just like if you watch the video the other night, yesterday, that I put out, the last 2 clips that we had before we started talking are 2 accidents that we seen Saturday evening. So we dropped the bike off, brought the car back, and I don't think anybody died. And we haven't, when we talked to the city, I said Rogers, but we actually were talking to Eureka Springs police. They had said they had heard nothing about anybody dying. But the problem is out there is, they're really curvy roads. It's like Iron Mountain going to the dealership.
Rogers, yeah.
And there's some switchbacks.
Well, they said they had heard of a few wrecks, but nothing like nobody had to be hospitalized. It was just, which is not so good, you know.
They slid their bikes more or less, I guess, and tore up their bikes and got some cuts and scrapes, but not anything losing a leg. Because most of that, if you're going around those curves, you're probably not going that fast, which could be. You could fly off the edge and down the cliff. And so, yes,
you don't realize how sharp those curves are when you're coming up to them, because you're coming up and then, you know, you can't see around the corner, and all of a sudden it's like a jackknife. It's like, or a hairpin curve, whatever they call it. It's like, so if you're going too fast for the curve, then you're very easy to go off the side of the road.
Which somebody else told me, that sent me an email, that they came this year, but they never ended up. They stayed in Rogers. They never came to Eureka Springs because they had a new rider that wasn't very experienced, and they didn't want to take them on that road. I don't know if there's another road that you can go around all that. I don't know. But yes, it is just going out of Eureka Springs, going towards Roger, probably the first 5 miles. That's 7 miles when you get down to where we turn off to go to the Golden Gate Bridge.
Oh, okay.
And so probably the first 5 miles are pretty.
Well, that's how you could come in. You could come in that Golden Gate Bridgeway and come in through Eureka Springs, turn right there where we did.
Yeah, you could do that too.
Because that would miss those really sharp curves.
Yeah, but there's still there's no more jackknifes or switchbacks after that, but there is some pretty good turns still. Yeah. Because some of them bank. So you got to be paying attention when you're riding. That's really what the thing is. And it's like 25 miles. So it's you got to pay attention until you start getting in the Rogers. Then it comes into 2 lanes, 4 lanes, 2 on both sides. And then you're pretty cruising then. There's not any real curves for probably the last, I don't know, 7 or 8 miles. There probably isn't any real curves.
Sean Adams talked about the vehicle traffic problem. There is a new town, forgot the name, maybe Rogers, with traffic flow. I'm sure they will learn from it.
And one of the problems that your Rogers has done, and then we heard this is last year, they had the convention center, and they had a stunt show over there. They had the Harley truck over there.
Can-Am was over there.
Can-Am, a bunch of people selling junk that had nothing to do with motorcycles. And we'd gone over there. Well, what they've done now is on the other side of that 49 highway, they put in all those stupid turnabouts. What a pain in the butt those are. They're all over that end of town. So when we talked to the dealership there, Pig Trail, they said that's one of the reasons they decided not to go with it, because it's just too much going on. People that live there don't know how to use them.
A lot of construction.
A lot of people have no idea how turnabouts work. And so that's part of the problem with these stupid cities that do this stuff. So it's kind of hard. Plus, we seen when we went in there on Wednesday, Walmart had a big giant thing going on there, which I assumed it probably went most of the weekend.
Yeah.
So I don't, and Walmart's got more pull because they're right there in Bentonville, is where Walmart's headquarters at. And we want to stay good with Walmart because we're hoping they're going to put a concert up there for next year. So we're at Sturgis. Everything looks pretty good. No complaints about Sturgis that I would complain about. Before that is Myrtle Beach. Myrtle Beach is its own little rally too. It's pretty much a drinking rally too.
Well, as Jess was on, she just said because I guess the fall rally's going on right now. And she said on the news, it said that there's 100,000 people there for the bike rally.
Nope. No.
They're not there.
You look at there's 10,000 people there. Fall rallies always suck because but the problem with it all is it's getting to be that, they used to have a lot of vendors there because they used to have that barefoot landing, had all the big trucks, JP Cycles and Ciro and Rick Rack, and all of them are up there. Plus all Vance and Hines and all, it was kind of almost like it was almost not as big as Daytona, but close. And now since they've been having trouble with a lot up there, having anybody, so it kind of sucked this year for spring. You just didn't have a lot of vendors if you wanted to get your bike worked on. Speeds is there, and Adam's down there in Inlet. So there is some stuff you can get your bike done. Dan Kite's there to do pinstriping and stuff. But if you wanted something, Rick Rack's at the dealership, I guess, is where they're at. So there was more vendors this year at the dealership, which a lot of people have had a lot of issues with the dealership, just like we've had. And so there's a lot of dealers don't like to deal with them. I guess the guy that was putting it on, I think he died. That was kind of a butt to people, and I think he's gone. So maybe it'll get better since he's gone. We never had any trouble with him, but we heard him yelling at some of the vendors and stuff before. So, and I'm like, why would you? People are paying you big money to stay here. Why are you bitching at them for? Work with people. You're there. That's customer service. They're still customers, but. Gone, don't worry about it. So we'll have to see what happens. But Myrtle Beach, I think, like for us, Myrtle Beach last year before Sturgis it was our best rally. It had the most viewership. It had the most people watching it. I think a lot of it's got to do with the inlet there, Myrtle's Inlet, with Suck Bang Blows there, Beaver Bars there. There's just a lot of stuff going on, a lot of action going on, a lot of, it's just crazy. And I think that's what makes the rally good. Now you also got some other bars. You got the Broken Spoke. That's kind of a cool place. They got some good bands and stuff there. But nobody in Myrtle Beach is going to have any name acts. I think over the years.
They've had Jackal, Jasmine King. Those.
Yeah, bike rallies.
Bike rallies.
I mean, you're not going to hear anything other than that. Which is fine, because all those shows are free. You can't ask for much when things are free. So that was,
Spokes and Bones had a lot of good tribute bands. AC/DC.
I'm not a big Myrtle Beach person because for me, I would have quit 2 years ago doing Myrtle Beach. I just didn't think it was doing anything. And then last year we had a sponsor, which was
Michael Adams.
He fronted us and got us in there and got us back in the campground that we were in. So that got us in there. We got in there a little extra early too.
So we're there. To him.
Yep. So we got some really great coverage and did really good there. So we want to thank him for that and helping us out. And so that's kind of that. Myrtle Beach is Myrtle Beach. And what's bad about Myrtle Beach is it's a tourist town. And there's a lot of cars. Lots of cars. And then down in Myrtle, where whatever the Ocean Drive or whatever it is, they don't want motorcycles in any of the garages. They've got restrictions on everything. You can't
campground. You can't take your motorcycles in a campground.
Only a few allow you. Most of them want you to park them out on the street in a gravel lot. So make sure you're watching. If you're going there, that's what it is. It's an all right rally. There really isn't much to ride. We went up to that. Is it Georgetown? Is that what we rode up to?
Yeah.
We've gone up there a couple times. The last couple of years, we rode up there. We rode up to the Harley dealer up in North Carolina, and that's okay. But I mean, it's not much of a ride. You can get off and see a little bit of the coastline, but it was okay. So before that one is Panama City. Now, I like Panama City, but the only reason I like Panama City is I'm a beach guy. Daytona is not a beach. Myrtle Beach is not a beach. Unless you're staying in one of the hotels, you really can't even get to the water. Yeah, you could drive your bike down there and get through. But I mean, if you want to just walk, it's kind of a pain in the butt to go. You can't even drink on the beach in Daytona. But in Panama City, you can. You can walk out of any of those bars, take your drink, go right down their steps, and go out and sit on the beach, and so it's more accessible. They have pretty good vendors that they have out there at the Frank Brown Park, because they have JP Cycles and they have Ciro, and they have pretty much all the big trucks are there, and all the small trucks are there too. So it's a pretty good rally for vendors. Not a lot of riding. We like to ride up to Destin and go to McGuire's and eat. That's one of our favorite places we like to go. We usually go 2 or 3 times and go up there. And so not a lot of riding, but I mean, they got some cool bars there. You know, we're not big Miss Newbie fans. There's too many 1%ers there, too many fights, too many people have been stabbed over the years. So we go in there during the day, but we don't do anything at night. Hammerhead Fred's is a pretty cool place at night. That's not bad. They got the bikini contest and stuff over there, and they usually have the same house band, but they're really good. And then they've got a whole lot of other bars,
or something like that.
And there's a whole lot of other bars all along there that are really great. There's a bunch of them we haven't even gone to that are probably you guys have been to and you love them. And so it's I like the rally.
We're quick.
Yeah,
it's only a 4-day rally too.
Yeah, so it gets started and it's over. So no complaints there. So before that then is Leesburg. Leesburg was our not counting Sturgis, it was our second best rally when we got to Leesburg. Leesburg this year has been an excellent rally. It's a really great small town rally. If you were anywhere in that direction, you should be at Leesburg. Bad news is there's not a lot of hotels there. If you want to bring a tent and go out there to, what's the campground called?
In Leesburg, Windy Acres.
That's a great place to stay. They got no utilities or anything like that. You can get water. You can have somebody come in and pump you out. But other than that, there's nothing else there. I mean, they got bars and all that stuff too, bands and stuff, all kinds of great stuff to do, party stuff. It's not too far from town. That's where the Professional Monkey stays out there. There's a couple other YouTubers that are out there that stay out there too. We will not be there this year. So we'll talk about that at the end. But I mean, I like that rally. I love the main street that they have. They have some really great bands. They spent over $200,000 for the bands they had this year. So they spend half their investment on the bands that they have down there. And if you stand in the front, it's free. If you want VIP, they charge you for that. But you can't beat the bands. I think they had like Buck Cherry. They had a bunch of different bands there this year, which were okay.
I can't remember who the name brand was.
But I mean, they were all pretty good bands. For free, you can't complain. Yep. So I really love Leesburg. I love it. It's a small town. Gator Harley is really great. There's some riding there, nothing outrageous. You can go out to Eustis and ride out there and go around the lake. And there's a lot of, not anything challenging, just some scenic riding. So we'll leave it at that. So next is Daytona. Daytona is just a mess. Daytona was actually really our worst rally this year for viewership and everything. I couldn't believe how bad Daytona was. If it's like this again next year, that'll be it. We'll be done with Daytona. I think it's getting to the point where people are just tired of Daytona. There's nothing new going on. It's the same old thing. Traffic's bad. Everything's so stretched out. You got to drive 25 miles to get down to the dealership, and you're driving down the A1A, or you're going down the 1, or whatever you're going down. It's going to take you a while to get down there to Ross Myers, unless you want to go all the way out to the highway and get on
Morris's.
Yeah, Teddy Morris's now. But I mean, there's some cool bars there. You got the Broken Spoke, you got the Iron Horse, you got all those great bars on Main Street. Main Street's great. I love the Main Street there, but it gets too many people are showing off, revving their bikes up, smoking their tires. We don't care about it. Turning the stupid stereos up. Every other word's the F word and all that. And it's like, dude, we don't want to hear any of your crap.
Or the same bike. Even if they're not doing any of that, they just want to show off their bike around.
My whole idea was, which the city won't take it from me, make it one way. One way down, you can't turn until you get over the bridge. That way, we at least wouldn't see them for, at least they might turn around, make a U-turn and come back, but it'd be a little harder for them to get around and do that if it's busy at that end. And that would be so much better. And then close the other 2 streets off for just parking, and that's it. And that would make it so much better because one of the problems a lot of people complain about is all the bikes parked on the sidewalks. Well, if you made it only one lane, we could have more parking in the street. Because then you could get the bikes closer, they'd be a lot tighter. You wouldn't, you don't need to, and I think it'd be like Sturgis.
You need to be able to walk up and down the streets.
Well, the sidewalks. You would have no problem walking down the sidewalks then. Because it does get crowded on the weekends there. So that's that, and you got the vendors that are over at the Speedway. That's not too bad over there. But I mean, you can go out to the Cabbage Patch or Cackleberry. There's another place you can go out and see. But once again, it's still a ride to get to that.
Oh, so not so Daytona's turned into a little too ghetto.
Yeah, which it is. If you go down there a couple of weeks, now this year was different because of the 500 got postponed, so that it brought more people hanging out down on down on A1A. But if you go down there, if you went down there right now, well, probably not right now with the hurricane, but go down there 2 weeks ago, there's bums sleeping down there on the A1A. They're sleeping on Main Street. It's ghetto. There's nobody there. Daytona is dead. Nobody goes down there. Those spring breakers really don't come down there no more. People don't go there for tourists. The hotels, they have not updated them since they were built back in the 50s and the 60s. And a lot of them still stink from the floods last year, the hurricane. All that water got in some of them. They cleaned them up, but they still stink. They're moldy inside. It's really ghetto, which is right. It is really getting to be a ghetto event. Now, Ormond Beach is really cool. You get down that way, it's not so bad. But it's just like I said, the traffic's so bad because you get out there on the 90 and people are either doing 30 miles an hour or they're doing 120 miles an hour. There's no in between. And
then getting in and out of the dealership on the weekend.
Yeah, Friday and Saturday they made it to where you couldn't make a left-hand turn out of the dealership. So we had to make a right-hand turn and turn the next street, which isn't a street, it's just the middle. So there's bikes all lined up in a lane turning. Now, how smart was that? I don't know who the moron was, because they said it was the county that did it, or the state. It wasn't the dealership. Why they did that, I have no idea. Somebody is a moron. They should have made it nothing wrong with a left-hand turn light. I don't know what their problem was, why they...
Well, I don't even think I think they had the first two even shut. You had to go down to the third one to turn around. Yeah, they did.
I don't know. You still had to turn in the middle of the road. There's still bikes were sitting out in the middle of the road, making turns. They were in the fast lane, and there's 10 bikes sitting there waiting to turn left to make a U-turn. So it's like somebody's going to get killed if a car hit that. There's going to be a mess of people dead. So that kind of sucks.
Yeah, St. Augustine's.
Yeah, St. Augustine's kind of, but once again, that's a ride to get up there to St. Augustine's and look around and stuff. And it's kind of cool. We didn't make it this year to St. Augustine's. We did last year and spent a lot of time up there.
Red Rex is on.
And that's kind of cool to ride up around there at St. Augustine's and stuff like that. But I mean, Florida just doesn't have any really good riding in it. It's scenic. That's about all you can say about it. But the traffic, like in Daytona and Panama City, Leesburg's not quite so bad, but Leesburg's kind of bad when you're coming in. There's only really one main highway to get into the place. It kind of gets right at that one intersection, gets kind of hectic. But Daytona is the same way. It's pretty much a drinking rally and drinking and partying and getting your bike worked on. That's really about all that's going on there. So that really wraps up all the rallies that we did this year. We also did the Mecum auction this year. We also did that's where we got the chopper. We went to the SEMA show, got the lift and all that stuff. We got those two still coming up. The SEMA show's in November, and in January is the Mecum auction. We're already set up with all that to go see all that again. Somebody else wanted to talk about, I don't know if he's on or not, but he was asking me about just different rallies. We'll start with some of the different rallies we've been to. I went to Laconia. If you're in the area of Laconia, it's probably not a bad rally to go to. I wouldn't travel from Florida, Texas, California to go to Laconia. The riding is very scenic. The vendors is not a lot of vendors there. It's kind of same thing at 25 miles to see the vendors, and the 25-mile ride is nothing. It's just like riding on a highway.
And the traffic is nuts.
Yeah.
When you get down there by Weir Beach.
On the weekend, it is just insane. And the Weir Beach is not really a beach, it's a lake. And it doesn't really have a place where you could put your feet in the water if you wanted. It's more of a vacation destination. There's a lot of vacation homes and stuff there. But Weir Beach is just full of t-shirt places. I'd bet $100 same guy owns them all, because they all got the exact same shirts in them. And there's a bar down at the end of the street, which isn't too bad. But I mean, it gets pretty full. I think it's 2 or 3 story building. And there's some vendors across the street, kind of in front of the drive-in, which are more small-time vendors, nothing really too big. On the other side, be up on the hill, that's where Speeds was at. And then you had to go all the way out to the Speedway to see where the demo trucks, Adam Amsoil, I think Cyril was out there. There's a handful of trucks. I don't know all the ones that were out there. But at any one time, there's not more than 25 people out there at any one time. So that kind of shows you it just isn't dragging people there. We spent 3 days doing the ride because everybody kept trying to tell us how great the riding was. I'm glad I did it. I have no intentions of ever going back. I've done it, been there, seen it. No reason to go back. But
Never
if you
been
were,
to Angel City in Georgia.
no, Angel City, I'm not sure if they even do that one anymore. Because we were going to go a couple years ago, and somebody was trying to go into it, and that guy screwed the guy. And it was somebody we knew through the rally. We didn't know him personally, and took a lot of money from the guy. So I'm not.
He's in the Hope Bowl right now.
Yeah. So if they caught him, I don't know if he's even doing the Angel Rally anymore in Georgia. We were going to go up there 2 or 3 years ago. We were going to go up and see it. Because last time we talked to Cal from Chubby Cups, he said we had told us 2 years ago they weren't doing it anymore. So
Gene Kelly said Blues and BBQ is ranked up there with Sturgis, if I heard you right, correct?
yes. So yeah, I love that. And so Laconia is another one. If you're in that area, I'd go. If you've got to ride to it, and it's a long way, like from Florida or something, I wouldn't, unless you just want to do a ride up the coast, which is what we did. We did the Patriot ride around the White House and all that while we went up there, went to Virginia Beach and went to a lot of cool places. Glad we would have never done it if we would have never went to Laconia. We would have never spent that week going up the highway. And so if you're not just riding a bike, bad thing is when you ride a bike, you don't really have time to stop and do all that. But with us pulling the trailer, we got to stop different places so we can get out and get on the bike and ride all these different places and check it out. And,
we went to Maine.
and I like to explore all that. It's really cool. I like that. But probably never again. What else we've done is we've done Galveston. Galveston is getting to the point where we were going to go a couple years ago. And then when we sat down and figured out how many miles it just wasn't worth it to go for those few days. Same thing. We don't get a lot of content. Not a lot of people are really interested in Galveston. It's kind of a closed off area that they close off. There's a lot of 1%ers coming in there. There was a shooting last year. There've been stabbings over.
Get a lot more violent.
Yeah.
But each year it seems to get a little worse.
And so, we don't need to get into that. And so same thing. There's no place to ride there. Not at all. The coastline, I think it just deads in when you get down there. And there's nothing down there to see. There's like I say, there's some bars downtown and places to eat. It was, once again, I'm glad I went. No real interest to ever go to Galveston again.
We've done that. We went to the 120th in Milwaukee.
Yeah. 120th, I enjoyed going to that. I missed a lot of things that was going on. There's a street down there, I forget what it's called, that they do burnouts on Saturday.
Or something
They do it on Saturday nights. I wished I would have been down there. That would have been great content. I'm glad we went. Harley kind of gave us the red carpet treatment. We got VIP to get into everything, but they didn't give us any money. They didn't give us a bike to ride. They didn't do anything like that. They just gave us VIP tickets to everything. So it was kind of neat. I'm glad I went. Same thing, probably never do it again. They asked us this year to go. And I said, you fly us in. You fly me in Friday night from Rapid City. We'll stay Saturday, Friday, get to Friday, stay Saturday, Sunday, you fly us back. You pay for the hotel, give us a bike to ride, and we'll do it. Oh, we can't do all that. And then we ain't coming. I'm not going to ruin my Sturgis because of that.
Because it was the weekend before it.
This year.
Yeah, was during opening day.
Yeah, pre-rally.
Pre-rally.
Yeah, pre-rally for the dealership was when they had it this year. And that's because of the RNC. So next year it'll go back to 3 weeks before the rally. But once again, it's too close to Sturgis, and we can't do that. We can't do that.
That's our bread.
We spend too much time there. So I like that. Another rally we went to Loretta Lynn's Ranch, which is Tennessee Motorcycle Music Revival. One thing I don't like about that, first off, is that it's something you have to pay to get into. That's the first thing. So if you just if you were going to stay in a hotel and you were going to ride in, you had to pay and get a ticket for 2 people to come in there. Not very many vendors. It's more of, they have a dirt track and they do some motorcycle racing, mini bike stuff. They did burnouts. It was kind of cool. That was it. But they had they took us on some rides. And one was a cool one. She ended up staying because they were supposed to be doing a bunch of contests. They didn't end up doing it. And they took me out. It was like a 45-minute ride. Took us out to this pasture, and they had a creek to go through. If you wanted, you could ride your bike through, or you could park your bike on that side. And they put you in a truck and drove you across. Most of us got in the truck and drove across. And but they cooked us fish and tater tots and hush puppies and beer. All of it was free. Spent about an hour or so there, 2 hours maybe. Then we came back. And they brought us back. They also went to a winery. We didn't do that. But it was kind of cool. Each day they had a different ride you could sign up and go on. And it didn't cost you anything. It cost
to get in, but then it didn't cost to go on the ride.
Yeah, so it was kind of cool. And that's kind of a cool area to ride to. You're in Tennessee, which if you've ever rode the tail of a dragon or anything like that, you're kind of in that area. So it's kind of cool. Loretta Lynn's got a little town there you can kind of look at if you're a Loretta Lynn fan, or if you just like an old town. They got a water mill and stuff there. It's kind of cool. The other thing, so we've been there. Another rally that I really like and I'd love to go back to is down in Mexico. That's Mexico across the border. It's called Rocky Point. What's the name of the actual town? Mexican?
Poinsettia, I don't know. I can't. Penasca, I don't know.
It's back in their Spanish.
Well, I can't think of the name of the word, what it is.
Well, it stands for Rocky Point.
Yeah.
So it's right at the Sea of Cortez, right at the very, very tip of the top of it. You come across the Arizona border. It's about 60 miles. You got to have a passport to get in. Ride your bike, get insurance before you go over. It costs about $75 for the week. And it starts on Wednesday. And it's over on Saturday. And but it was if you want to go to an old school rally to see what it was like.
It's like Bourbon Street meets bike rally.
Yeah, the old Bourbon Street where it used to be back 20 years ago. Wild, crazy.
Anything goes.
Yeah, anything goes. So on federal rallies are walking around with their guns, M16s and all this, but as long as you ain't killing nobody, they could care less what you do. Guys have all their side bags are full of ice and beer. They're popping the cans, drinking right on the street.
Porto Pensado.
There you go. And so that's really worth going. Actually, Adam Sandoval is actually going to do a ride. If you go on his page, on November 7th, they're going to leave out of Phoenix. He gives you a condo set up, a time, I don't know what it is, apartment, or whatever it is. He's got a place for you to stay. You can pay ahead.
It's a resort.
Yeah, resort, that's what it is. And go down, and he's got a lot of activities. I'm really thinking about it, but I don't know if I'm going to go or not. And probably not. But it is worth it. And that's cool that he's coming in. That's about a 250 mile ride down to the border. Then another 60, so we're right about 300 miles in that day. So it's we were going to do that the first time we went, and she decided she didn't think she could ride that far. And
well, the ride we took in Bikes was barbecue that day. We went down the pig trail. We left at 10 o'clock in the morning and we got back about 7 o'clock that night. And I was done. We did a live that night. And I don't know, I was kind of crabby at the very beginning because I was hot. I was tired. I was hurting. So I wasn't really in the mood to do a live.
So that's kind of like, we have done other rallies. We've done Reno, which is, what's the Reno one called?
Street Vibration.
Yeah, Street Vibration. They say the reason they always call it Street Vibration is because when there's so many motorcycles, you can actually feel the street vibrate. It's dying. What's bad about it is Las Vegas, Laughlin, Nevada, Reno's another one. They decided they don't want motorcycles because we don't spend enough money gambling. So they don't really want us, even at $500 a night, they don't really want us to take up the rooms. They'd rather give them free to gamblers than to have us come. So really the only thing that's going up there now is Virginia City. I think they got a little parking lot now that's going to have some vendors in it.
That's where the party was anyway. The vendors were down there in Reno.
And then Carson City had a dealership that's had some vendors and stuff, but I've heard that's kind of died down too.
They were a really cool dealership. They were
which was good, but it wasn't a lot of vendors, and I hear there's still not a lot of vendors anymore coming there anymore. It just isn't worth it. We've also got Arizona Bike Week. We have done that several times. We're probably going to do it next year, 2025. We'll probably go to Arizona Bike Week, but we're probably going to spend most of our time in Cave Creek. Because that's really where the party is. I'm not paying $90 to go see vendors. That thing's going to happen. So we probably won't even go to the vendor lot. I don't even know who's putting it on now. If they're going to charge that kind of money, I don't even want to advertise for them because that's stupid. They have to pay. I have to buy a stupid concert ticket to go in there.
Well, they're double dipping because they're charging the vendors to come in and rent a lot, rent a space, and then they're charging us to come see the vendors that's already paid. That doesn't make any sense. Well, I mean, it does for them. Somebody's pocket's getting full of money.
But so it sucks. And
so it's between Rogers and Eureka Springs is the two main cities for Bikes, Blues and BBQ. I think there needs to be a revolution in the bike rally format. How many jewelers, leathers, and sunglass vendors do there have to be? Or massage guns, or magnets, or magnet bracelets, all that
stuff.
Which
it is. It's getting to be Rogers that way. Pretty much all the vendors that were on that first street. I didn't walk down them all, but I didn't even show you all of them because really there was nobody there except for a guy selling knives. It was even close to motorcycles. He had different ones, sheaths and stuff you could put on your hip and stuff. So he had a lot of different knives. And they were cool, but everybody else was just selling perfumes and candies and
windows. Guy kept bugging me. Can you come? Do you talk about your windows? The community windows. We can get you new windows. And I said in Arizona, and he's like, oh no.
And so it's more, they're attracting more local people.
Yeah.
As you did, you seen strollers down there and little kids and all this stuff. And it's, what do you want? Do you want a motorcycle rally or do you want to have a fair or a picnic? That's, you know.
We've never did a Washington, Oregon, Idaho rally. California, we've been to Hollister, but I don't think it was during the rally.
No, no, we didn't go to Hollister during the rally. We went after the fact. We used to, there's one down in Irvine that we've been to. What's that called?
Corn Free.
Been there. We also went to, we used to do the Love Ride. That's like a rally.
That's back now.
So we used to do that. So we've done some stuff. That's what kind of sucks. Now, we never did, I was always going to do the Redwood Run, which is, once again, it's another HA rally. Me and Art was going to go up there and do it. You pretty much have to stay in a tent or something. And we kept talking about it, we never did it. And that's why I said, there's just, for California and stuff, for having such great riding, there's probably more bikes in California than most of the United States, because you can ride all year round. And they just can't get nothing together. It's just the politics and the fees and all this stuff. It's kind of like Las Vegas. That's what's happened to Laughlin, Nevada, is you had to hire the Cook County police, which are come out of Clark County. It comes out of Las Vegas. Last time the guy didn't pay. This is like 6 years ago now. There's still a $330,000 bill waiting to be paid before anybody can even have one again, because you have to hire those police. So you got that big expense. But right now it's probably
right off the bat.
Now it's probably $500,000 to have them come in. You have to hire them. You
can't have the rally.
Yeah. So, but they're very strict because of the gambling. Because there's a lot more rules when it comes, like we were trying to talk to our dealers in Las Vegas about having one just at the vendors, just at the dealerships, because they got 3 of them there. And they're like, if you want to take it over, put it all together, we'll be happy to get involved with you, but we're not doing any of the legwork. He says, you have no idea the trouble you have to go through to have something in the city limits of Las Vegas. And so I just
said we should just start calling the motorcycle rally and flea markets.
Getting close.
That's about the way it is.
And that's what happened to our Laughlin one. It got to be, when we first started going to it in 2001, 2002, it was full of motorcycle vendors. You didn't see anything. Towards the very end, it got down to where it was just junk.
T-shirts, bracelets,
recliners, mattresses, crap that had nothing. It was more local
patio furniture.
Well, we kind of see that in Daytona, or Sturgis does that, the city, because they'll have all.
It's Mr. A's building.
Yeah, Big Al's. That they put a high price on it, and then when it gets down to about a month before, if they haven't rented them out, they get all these local people that just want to come in and bring their junk in and sell at a cheap price, so that at least it looks like it's full. So then you get all this junk coming in, and like I say, it's the sad thing is like if you can't see what's going on, if you've been going to rallies any decent time, you can see this is all dying. No matter what you say, people argue with me all the time. There's videos on it all the time. If you've even been going to the rallies, you can see what's going on. Some people say it's commercialized, it's getting more commercial. And it probably has since the original rallies that used to have, where they had biker games all the time. I'm not interested in playing biker games. I really don't care. I don't really want to do any of that. I don't mind seeing, some motorcycle stunt shows and racing and hill climbing and stuff like that. That's okay for me. But the games and stuff, I could leave them. But it's you can see the writing on the wall. All these rallies are just getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And it's just a matter of time. Maybe it won't be 10 years from now. Maybe it won't be 20 years from now, but it won't be that much longer. Baggers will be gone. People won't. These young kids aren't really, they'll say, my son's 21. He's got a bagger. He just bought it this weekend. Well, how many of his friends ride baggers? Can he name 100?
He might ride it because he wants to ride with his dad.
I can probably count 100 people I know that have baggers. Can everybody do that? And but in different generation, my son-in-law, he knows maybe 3 people that have motorcycles besides me and his dad. He knows a couple of people who live local here that have motorcycles. So it's not like it used to be. And I'm not saying going back to the 60s and the 70s. I'm just talking in the last 20 years. That's when baggers and all that started getting really big, and the late 80s, early 90s, into the 2000s, baggers started getting very popular. It seemed like that's what they were selling, a lot more of those. And now that's really what,
750s.
which is really all Harley is selling now. Their main bikes, is why they're shipping the other ones overseas, because they only sell them overseas more than they do in the United States, is baggers and trikes. Those are the two bikes they're selling more of than anything else. And that's why they took it out. They're trying to upgrade the plant to where they can put those out quicker and faster. Try to sell as many as you can before we all die. So that's kind of
squeeze one more bike out of them.
Yeah. And so I don't know. So that's kind of a wrap up. I think I pretty much hit all the rallies we've been to. You know, there's a lot of good little local rallies that you know, they had that smoke out that the monkey goes to. I'd love to go to that, but it's just so far for us to go to it once again for a 3-day rally. You know, and it's a chopper thing. That's really all it is. Same thing. I watched a couple people put videos out. It's more, they got some bike games, they do some bike racing, they got some bands, you know, not a whole lot of excitement going on. And
said that he's in his 30s and all his friends have bikes, some old, some new.
Where does he live?
He doesn't say where he lives. Where do you live, Jade?
And are they all baggers? That's the question. Now, there's people I know that have crotch rockets, but most crotch rockets don't go to motorcycle rallies, not these kind of rallies. So we see more people today that buy a bike and they're using it for transportation, because it kind of boils down to that now. If you look at, just like my son-in-law, he's got 2 cars out here that he's making payments on. He's got a truck and a car. He's got a house he's making a payment on. He's got 2 boys going through high school. He can't afford a motorcycle, even a cheap motorcycle he can't afford to buy. And that's really the way the world is right now. It's too tough for especially young people to be able to afford a motorcycle. Now, if you live out in the country, it's a different story. You're out in the Boot Hills of Missouri or someplace where you can take a dirt bike out. Oh, hell yeah, I can go out and buy a $500 dirt bike and run the hell out of it. But I'm saying taking a bike and riding across the country with it. I'm going to ride it to Daytona. I'm going to ride it to Sturgis. I'm going to ride it someplace. You just don't see it. Just like a lot of people say, they say, oh, it looks more like a trailer rally now, which is true. We're all getting older. A lot of us, it's a lot easier to throw those bikes in a trailer and drag it across the United States than it is to jump on it and struggle with old bones trying to get across the highway. We would never make it to Sturgis if she had to ride her bike, or even ride on the back of mine. You know, a couple 100 miles a day is all we could do. It'd take us 2 weeks to get there. And then it would hurt so bad we couldn't do anything then. But you get a lot of people that, you know, we hear this from people that live up on the East Coast that come to Daytona. They only ride their bikes twice a year during Biketoberfest and Daytona Bike Week. And they haul them down both times. They don't really ride up in New York. They don't.
Terry says, it's 2 cents. It's more fun to grab 12 friends, 8 bikes, pick a town, and go have a blast. We've done it in the Black Hills, the Ozarks, the Smokies, and Maine.
When we lived in California, we did a lot of that. I never really started riding with a group till we bought our Harley, and we joined the Harley group that we had in California. Met a lot of people there. And we first did some rides with the group. They went out every Saturday, or sometimes we go on a weekend ride and go out. And pretty soon then I started, which we came to California for probably, 15 years on vacations.
Since 95.
And we rented bikes pretty much every time we came out. And I'd ride all the coast and I'd ride all these different roads and stuff. And it's like, so already when I got here, I already knew a lot of the riding when I came to California. So we started taking groups of people out on weekends and go do rides. We go do a 300-mile ride up the coast, go eat lunch, turn around, come back 300 miles all in one day. And that was a ride. And then Sunday they go, hey, go on riding again on Sunday. And I'm like, looks good, let's go. And no telling. And we never knew where we were going, no plans, nothing else. We've done rides with groups to Laughlin and stuff like that. And Art's the only one that rode with us to Sturgis when we went twice. I guess twice Art rode with us. And to Sturgis. 3 times, she says. So other than that, we never really took a big group that long of a distance. Now we've gone to the Grand Canyons with a group and stuff like that, and which is all fun. And
we went to San Diego, we went up to Rosarita, all that different stuff.
Yeah. So
Jade said, no baggers, all Harleys though, from Illinois and South Dakota now. Buddy bought a new Nightster last rally. So that's what they've got.
And it could be, just like in my case, it's a lot of people that I know from our Harley group, which the Harley dealer that we have is no longer there. But we still have some of the friends on Facebook and stuff that we can talk to and stuff like that. But it's like when you know, Harley's still selling bikes, but when we talk to like Black Hills Harley, so there's 628, most of the bikes they sell are people over 50 years old, but most of the bikes. And that's really my turning point. And but it gets to the point where it's expensive, to buy a $20,000 bike. And it's kind of like this politics and stuff. Everybody's talking about the politics and stuff. And it's like, I've been watching this guy that goes to college, talks to all these kids that think they know everything, and they don't really know anything. And that's what he kind of said to them. It's like, you're in an area now, you can't afford to buy a car, but you have to go down and get you a scooter and rent it to be able to go downtown, because you can't afford to buy a car because of the way the economy and stuff is. And it's really tough for these kids. And I think that's why so many of these kids go to college as a career. And there was some kid he was talking to that had I forget what his degree was in, but it was one of these degrees that in 4 years, he's not going to get a job. He can work at Taco Bell. And he goes, well, I'm going to go ahead and get a PhD and everything, so I can get, maybe I could get government jobs to where I could do test projects and stuff. And as we said, so you're going to spend $200,000 to $300,000 to get maybe $100,000 or $150,000 or maybe even a $200,000 job. Then you got to pay all your schooling off and all that. And it's like, you got to, most jobs today really don't require a college education unless you're going to be a doctor or a lawyer or something like that. There's a lot of great paying jobs just right on the street.
Jen said it was way too hot in Arkansas. Her husband got heat exhaustion.
Yep.
He did too.
It was hot Saturday. And I'm not a big water drinker, so that's part of my problem. Usually I drink some Gatorade, and I didn't even drink any. And so we survived and cooled down, and we rode back, and we were fine.
Ron said if you're only going to ride 2 times a year, you need to sell it.
Which is true. But there's a lot of people
That's why I sold my bike, because I wasn't riding any with this.
Well, see, when we used to live in Illinois, for instance, you're looking from anytime between, usually by October, your bike's put away for the winter. October, November, December, January, February, maybe March if you're lucky, or April you'll get your bike out. So it's 6 months your bike's is put away. You take the battery out of it, you put it in the shed or whatever you got, and let it go. Oh yeah, I can go out and ride it at 30 degrees, but I'm not. I have no reason to jump on my bike at 30 degrees and go riding around the neighborhood. If it gets up into the 50s, yeah, we've done that. But I'm not going to do it every day. I'm not. If I'm trail riding or something like that, that's a whole different story. But to get on the bike and do 65 miles an hour when it's 40 degrees, not interested. Only do it when I have to.
I have a question for you. Gene Kelly says they go to motorcycle rallies in Maryland, Little Sturgis, New Orleans. It's old school rallies. They have motorcycle demo derbies. Now, how do you do that? Because demo derbies, you always had to back up. Rider Rex says our frame is freezing every 20 to 30 seconds.
So that's what I said. So that's
Rider Rex wants to know where that rally is. He's heard of it's a little wild.
Yeah, but a lot of the smaller rallies, it's like Hog Rock and Little Sturgis, and some of them end up being more of a naked fest. A lot of people run around naked, things like that. And there's nothing wrong with that. But in our case, being a YouTuber and things like that, and she will no longer do any kind of events like that herself. But we're not really, there really isn't any content. It's kind of like the smoke out. I think if I went to that, I'd be disappointed too. I'd be kind of cool to talk to some of the guys with bikes that build bikes. But I mean, you can probably see those same guys at all the regular rallies, Daytona, Sturgis, they probably come to and talk to them, not being in the dirt and the mud and that kind of stuff like that. But I mean, if I lived over on that side of the world, I would. We're probably going to fly out there in the next year or two. And I don't know if we'll do it in September when that's going on, but there's some places we want to go. Rusty Wallace and his son has invited us there.
North Carolina. To
check out his. I'd love to do the Maggie Valley rides, do some rides there. So there's some things I've got on my bucket list that I want to do, but you got to hit it to where there's no snow, because we wanted to do it when we were doing it after Daytona, but a couple times there's been snow up there, and I'm not, once again, I have rode in snow, but not interested in heading out in the snow. And but there's probably a lot of really great rallies all over the United States. But our problem is it just doesn't justify us to go, which I tell everybody. If you want to sponsor us to any of those rallies, take us an airplane ticket and a place for us to stay and get us some kind of bike to ride, because you got to have a bike to get around. We're happy to come to your event. If you can get a sponsor from, Ohio Bike Week or something like that wants to do something with this, it doesn't cost a fortune. For us to fly to Daytona this year, it's right around $1,000. We already bought the tickets for that. Right now, we're supposed to be staying with somebody, so that should be a problem. And we're hoping to get a free bike to ride during that time. Still got to get all that ironed out, but we got 2 places, maybe 3 places to get bikes from for Daytona. And so we'll see how that all works out.
So Jim says this weekend in Wichita, they're doing a cancer run, bikers for boobs.
They've also got, I seen that I put on my Facebook page in Lake Havasu on October 12th. There's a big bike and car show down in Havasu. We'll go down there and see that. And we'll ride our bikes.
Terry wanted to know if you mentioned, he said, didn't you mention something that you had some news about India a few videos ago? I don't remember anything either.
You know, there's I don't know if it had to do with the woke thing, but I mean, all these corporations, doesn't matter who they are, they all got these different policies in there, DEI or whatever you want to call it. So I don't know if that was it. We were going to talk to Indian about possibly buying a bike from them in Sturgis. So I don't know if that was the video we were kind of talking about.
Really blurry?
Probably. It's not the clearest. It's just the light's not real good on us. And so I don't know if that's what it is. That's about all I know. I don't know anything else about Indian.
Yeah, that's what our rumor said, that maybe some for us older folks, old farts, we started looking down at young riders starting out on Nortons, Triumphs, Hondas, Kawasaki's, etc. Some of them make you feel more welcome.
And it's just tough. It's just, well, the problem with kids today is this, the phones. They want to play on them. They don't want to go outside. Kids don't even ride bicycles hardly anymore. These little kids don't ride bicycles or anything. So you got to get used to riding a bicycle first. You know, I used to ride, I don't know, when I was a kid, probably rode 50 to 100 miles on a weekend on a bicycle at a 10-speed. So it was like, and I was 13 or 14 years old. I just got on with a buddy. He was older than me, and we just rode. And, you know, and so you don't get that with kids anymore. And there's always exceptions to the rules. Somebody say, my son does. Well, that's great. But how many kids in the school do? You know, you don't see a bicycle ride at the high school anymore that's got, you know, 100 bikes in there. When I went to grade school and middle school and junior high, we had 100, 200 bikes in the back rack. We were chaining the bikes to other bikes, chaining them to the fence because there wasn't enough there. And so you don't see that anymore. And so that's kind of your first step, you know, mini bikes. You know, I don't, other than I see a bunch of adults riding mini bikes, I don't see any kids riding mini bikes. Now, that was my first thing. I had one when I was, I don't know, 10 or 11 years old. I had my first mini bike. And, but then you build into a motorcycle. You know, you start out, and I started out with a 100 Honda and worked my way up. And I started when I was 14 years old riding a motorcycle. So when I had my first motorcycle, I probably rode one before that, but that was the first time I actually got one for my 8th grade graduation. Dad got me. So that's what kind of got me into motorcycle. But for a long time, we didn't ride a lot. We'd go out on the weekend maybe once a month and went for a couple 100-mile ride, and that was the day. And we didn't really ride a lot. When I had my 100, I ran around the city a lot with it. I didn't go very far with it. And so it wasn't really till we got the Harley did we start doing the long trips and start putting the miles on them. And so, yeah, but the kids today, I think a lot of it has got to do with, so a lot of these kids only have part-time jobs and they're working 2 or 3 jobs. So when they got time to ride a bike, you know, and then if they're going to school, if they're going to college and things like that, you know, we both didn't go to college. She went to college after the fact, 20 years later, and decided to go to school. But so we had that time that we could go out and do the stuff on the weekends. You know, you were off on Saturday and Sunday. You know, nowadays, probably a lot of people work on Saturdays.
Yeah, we used to live in Illinois. In Missouri, they were blue states. Everything was closed on Sundays.
Yeah.
Restaurants, businesses, malls, everything. There was nothing open on Sundays. So
it's just, that's why I see that's just different now. It's harder, I think, for young people to get the motorcycle. And if you're in a family, you know, which is weird. My son-in-law, his dad's got a Harley. So do I. We both have had Harleys forever. He'd like to have a bike. If we gave him a bike, he might ride it. But he was just talking about buying it. Somebody has a dirt bike, 250, that they don't know what it's worth. He's thinking about trying to get it he's traded in on a car, and he wants to go down and talk to the car lot and see if he can get it for $500 or $600. And because only got like 5 miles on the bike, I never really rode it. And but typically most people it's tough to live nowadays. Young people, most of us, we all retired. it's easy to go, which is, I've seen people, when we talk to some of these vendors, even here in Arkansas, there's people that come in and spend $10,000, $20,000 on their motorcycle while they're at a bike rally. That's a lot of money. And most of them say they're paying cash for it, or they're putting it on their debit card, or they're not really putting it on a credit card and financing it and all that kind of stuff. So it's people that's got money. Well, most of the time you got to have money if you're retired. If you worked your whole life, you saved your money up, got a big fistful of money to where you can go and have this stuff done. And it's tough, and you got to make sure the kids are gone, because you can't. It's tough riding with you got two kids. We had the one we stuck her between us for a while off for some riding, not very much. And which you wouldn't even think of doing that today. I mean, we were just stupid back then. And but then once with the second one came, that's when I said that I pretty much I traded my bike off for a conversion van, used it as a down payment on my conversion van. And then I rode a bunch of other people's bikes, friends' bikes and stuff on different times they had rides or something. I would go with them. And then it wasn't until the kids got a little older before I bought. Actually, I didn't buy it until we came to California. We bought
he just rode some of his friends' bikes.
Yeah. So I had a lot of friends that had extra bikes.
Salty Badger says his son built his first bike this year. He says it just depends on how they're parented.
That's right.
Yep.
But both my son-in-laws aren't mechanically inclined. And so they don't have that background. That's what I said. It just depends. If you're, we know people that like in South Dakota, that the families are, they're really hands-on, and the kids can really do a lot of things. But I would say pretty much 80 to 90% of the young people today, and this is 30 and under, really can't do a whole lot of much when it comes to being hands-on. They've lost all that. Everybody's so, I can take it here, I can take it there, I can take it there. I don't need to fix anything. I don't, we have a grandson that what were they trying to take apart, and he was telling his mom yesterday, she was telling us that story, and he said something she was trying to open or something. She says, you need to open it yourself. It's not that hard.
I guess his battery and his mom for his car. And he says, it don't work. And she says, you need to put a battery in. He says, how do I do that? And she says, you take it apart and put the battery in. Here's the battery. I got to go.
He says, here, I go, do it for me, Mom. Do it for me. Why don't you do it? He's 18 years old. But I mean, that's just the way and you say, well, that's just a rare. No, it's not. Us traveling all over the United States, we see this very common. And that's what's going to happen to the world. Like I always say that in 10 or 20 years from now, you're not going to find anybody that's going to be able to do any mechanicing or wrenching or plumbing or electrician or construction worker. Those people are all going to be gone. And and we have a lot of that now. A lot of times you take a car in some place to get it worked on, and all they're doing is parts replacing. So it's already really bad now. It's hard to find good people to do any work for you. And
so they said we're all going to be crippled in about 10 years because there's going to be nobody left to do anything.
That's right. So if you don't do it yourself, you ain't going to get it done. So that's kind of the bad thing about all this. And it's tough because we try to do it with our grandsons. I said, send them out to the house for the summer, and I'm going to start working on bikes. We'll show them how to tear bikes apart and put them back together. And it's like, oh, they can either play sports, or they're doing this, they're doing that. One day we'll be gone and they won't know anything. Which I see that nowadays, where, probably your grandparents, if you've been around a while, our grandparents are all gone. But I mean, they used to have a lot of stories. They told you a lot of stuff. They could fix stuff. They could do stuff, and you could learn from them. Well, nowadays we've got, just like here, you see pretty much all the parents are on their phones too. And the kids are on their phones. So nobody's actually talking about fixing anything or doing anything. And that's what it is. It's just, this is going to be, well, the funny thing was, we flew into Tulsa here. So while we were getting off the plane, there was this little robot guy going down the aisle. And I'm like,
and it goes up to you, and then you look you up and down. Nope.
And so there's a lady standing next to me that lives in Tulsa, and she goes, oh, that's a delivery robot, AI. And I'm like, what? She said, well, if you call Starbucks, you go on your phone and order it, it will bring it to you. So whatever restaurant, anything that's in the Tulsa airport, this little robot guy will bring it to you. And which is really, that's weird. That's what's taking over the world. We'll eventually take over our world, because nobody wants to do nothing. So it's going to be these robots with AI. And if you know anything about AI, just like here, if I do videos on AI, it won't be very long before it can imitate my voice exactly, how I talk, the hesitations, everything. And I can take those out and all that in AI. Well, the idea is because it gets smarter and smarter and smarter. So what's going to end up happening is all these kids that don't want to work, they'll be sitting home doing nothing, and these robots will be taking over the world, like the Terminator or whatever those movies were that was all about that. We're really not that far away from all that, which is sad, but open your eyes and see what's going on. It's kind of like, I've been watching, because we're at daughter's house. I don't have a lot of things to do other than do a little editing and stuff like that. So I've been watching a lot of the news channels, which I normally don't like to watch. But I mean, some of the stuff is this election that's coming up. I don't know how some people can vote one or the other way. Just by looking at certain people and seeing there's nothing going on. There's no plans.
Substance.
There's no, we're in a system now to where we're this close to World War III. And if we get in it, we're going to be annihilated. We have no ammunition. We have nothing. We've given everything away to these other countries now, and we're down to nothing. And we don't even have enough military to do anything now. Now they're shipping a whole bunch of people over to Israel, I guess. I don't know how many they're going to send over there. We're just sending a whole other boatload of money over to Ukraine. And it's like, I don't know.
Oh, there you go. George wants to know, talking about old geezers, does anybody know any transportation for the Sturgis extended?
Okay, there's what I was going to talk about. That was good thing you brought that up. That was the other thing I was going to talk about. So we actually have two people that do haul motorcycles. One is Heavy Ed down there in Daytona that does it's Midwest Cycles, but you have to get the bike to him to haul to it. We also have haul bikes. Now, what we're going to do a video on, because I need people to start telling me what they want to do. We talked to them last year about maybe they should do a pre-rally instead of the main rally, because more and more people now are coming the week before. So we need to try to see if we can get how many people would be. Because I think their price, if I'm not mistaken, when I look for this year, it's $1,700 round trip to take your bike from Haul Bike, from wherever you live in the United States, other than Alaska and Hawaii. Anywhere in the United States, it's $1,700 round trip. But it's guaranteed to be there on Friday of opening day, and you need to have it back by Sunday at the end of the rally. You can bring it back anytime before that. You can pick it up anytime before that, but you're only that 1 week and that's it. So I think pre-rally is getting to be bigger. So we're trying to see if we can get a good group of people that would be interested in it. Not saying that you'll commit to it. And we're going to call them and talk to them. We're actually going to see them at MECOM auction in January and start talking to them about this. But if we can get let's say we get 50 people that says, hey, we're interested in coming the week before. And if the truck could be there the Friday before, a week before opening day, and then which the bike still wouldn't have to go back until the end of the rally if they didn't want to take it back earlier. And the truck just sits there. It sits at the Best Western in Rapid City there, right off the highway, is where the truck sits. And they stay there with you. They don't take the bike out of the truck till you're ready to come get it. So it's not sitting out in we've heard some horror stories over by the airport. Sometimes there's bikes sitting outside and there's nobody even there. They just leave them sitting in the parking lot. So that we don't know. We don't know who that is. So those are two people that we know. So if you can get your bike down to Daytona, I can get you a better deal from down there, from Heavy Ed bringing it up. But he gets there about 2 days before the rally. He's probably there Wednesday or Thursday. I think he comes in on Wednesday. Probably Thursday, the truck will be unloaded, and then your bike will be ready to go, and you pick it up there.
But George says pre-rally.
Yeah. So we'd have to see about doing the pre-rally. But so the idea is, would you want to get there by? But like I say, your bike, there's a chance your bike may not be home for 3 weeks because it may not leave till the end of the rally. So if you're okay with that, because most places, what's bad about having independent people haul your bike is the insurance. You want to make sure somebody's going to cover your bike if something happens to it. If it gets lost, if the truck flips over. There's a lot of people out here that are offering, $500 or $600 each way. But then you're once again, you're stuck with whatever their shipping is, how they're doing it. Hey, we're leaving this day, and then we're leaving this day to come home. And so I don't know if I would let somebody that didn't have a license, a trucking license and insurance, do my bike, because your insurance may not cover your bike and transportation. Now, see, for instance, with Hall bikes, you got to disconnect your battery because they don't guarantee that they'll put it in transport mode. So I already had figured that if I have my bike shipped down, it's going to end up going to Leesburg and it's going to go to the dealership. They're going to drop it off in there. And then I'll have the battery, I'll hook the battery up in there. And then when I leave, I'll disconnect it. We'll leave it someplace in Myrtle Beach. And then they'll pick it up whenever. I don't care when they pick it up. I just want it there when I need it there. But because Hall Bikes, for instance, has like, I don't know, 8 or 9 different warehouses all around the United States. And they have one right here for us in Vegas. And so if you take your bike to the warehouse, you can get a better price. But then they ship it from that warehouse to, like, I think they got one in Milwaukee. So all the bikes end up in Milwaukee, and then they put them all on the truck in Milwaukee, and then they take them into Sturgis. So
But George, it's easy for him to trailer his bike. The Sturgis, Daytona is 10,000 miles in the wrong direction. I can't talk. So you got about 15 minutes left.
Okay. So, but one of the things she was saying about Daytona was Emory HVAC has done it. You can haul your bike on the train and take it down to Daytona, which I don't know how that works. I don't know what it costs.
I don't know what it costs, but I thought,
well, that's why I said if he's living really far up north, it really wouldn't justify it to take it down there. And but like I say, I think their price for like I say, you're really not going to find anybody. Most people I see want at least, even these people that are just putting it in their personal trailer, want at least $600 or $700 each way to haul your bike. And that's with no insurance or anything else. There's another company keeps popping up on Facebook that does trucking, but I've wrote the guy and he hasn't wrote me back because I said, well, how much it costs from Arizona to bring my bike? And he goes to all these different bike rallies, but I don't know where he's based out of. Where I don't know. I don't even know the name of the place. It just keeps popping up on every one of any rally Facebook page. This guy's coming up X something. I think he builds bikes too. And he was supposed to have been in Ocean City, but I never seen the guy. And so I don't know. Maybe I seen him. I walk right by the place. I don't know. But I guess he's starting to start hauling bikes too. So I don't know.
There you go. Our Wilmer said, dang, you might have hit on something. Bob, have an idea. Drop off service. Laugh out loud. And in my defense, it was a very unlevel parking lot. I know poor Jen dropped her bike, she said, this time. And somebody else said, yeah, it's when the bike was falling and he went to grab, and he said, so we dropped both bikes. And I said, we've done that before too. When I first started riding, we got to the dealership and I started to go and he grabbed and we both went over.
Well, I think you went to park the bike and you didn't have a kickstand down, and that's why you started to fall. So then I didn't have my kickstand either. So I went to grab hers, thought I could hold it up, but we both fell over. That was my bike a long time ago. This bike has never been dropped. It's fell over in the trailer, but never fall over.
All Bikes is in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania also. There you go, George.
Yeah. So if you take it to their warehouse, they give you a better price. So, but you have to go do almost everything online. I tried to call them. And we end up talking. We know a couple people that's higher up in the company, and that's who we've been kind of talking to about getting my bike down to Florida. And so we're still trying to figure out which way we're going to go, because we're hoping we have 2 places that might give us bikes. Actually, 3 places, I guess, might give us bikes to ride during the rallies, and down there in Florida and stuff. So we still got to make one. We got to go in and talk to one person. The other person we need to talk to them on the phone, and the other one I guess we have to talk to on the phone. A lot of things going on. Gonna get all round up for next year. So right now we were thinking about going to Biketoberfest. We had somebody that told us we could stay in their place, no problem. Well, actually we were asking for Daytona Bike Week. And they said, well, we really don't have a place for you to stay, but if you want to come for Biketoberfest, we have a whole house here you can use. So then the other day I thought, I looked in and thought, $1,000. Let's go ahead and go down there. There's some things I need to talk to. I need one of our videos that we lost, one of our sponsors that we have. I lost footage from Sturgis on that hard drive, and I thought we could redo it here in Bikes, Blues and BBQ, but he lost his voice. So we figured, well, we'll go down there. We could do that. We could also talk to the person. We could go down and talk to Heavy Ed. He wants to talk to us about transporting and all that stuff too, to work with us to help him get people, and then he'll do some stuff with us. So I thought, we could get it all done in one time, and then that way, by the time Daytona comes, we're all set and ready to go. Well, she texted the person, and they said, oh, well, we'll have to get back with you. And so that's been 3 or 4 days now, and he ain't heard nothing. And So apparently we're probably not going to do Biketoberfest this year. So right now the first rally we'll have on the books will be Daytona. So we got Daytona set up, Leesburg, Panama City, Myrtle Beach, Sturgis, then back to Ocean City, back to Bikes, Blues and BBQ, and the same cycle that we did this year. That's kind of what's down right now. If we pick up some more sponsors, we may pick up more rallies if they'd like us to go to them. So that's kind of what we do now. Is we just talked to 3 more people during Biketoberfest or Bikes, Blues and BBQ, and we kind of talked to and said, you know, if you want to do something, you can pick a rally and we'll come to your rally. You know, if you wanted us to come to this great Smoky Mountain rally or whatever, we might have done that, or do it next year or something like that. Or if you want us to go to Galveston, or you want us to go to a certain rally, that's where we're more than willing, or something we've never been to. We'd be willing to sit down and talk about it and things like that.
We always talk about Americade and what's that other
one? I think Americade's about dead though.
Oh, I don't know. The one in Pennsylvania, the Thunder Valley, Thunder Valley Rally. I don't know, something like that. Thunder in the Valley Rally, I think. Yeah. I don't know.
I mean, there's a lot of rally. It's just tough when it comes to be a 3-day rally. It just isn't.
Especially over on the East Coast, because even though we're in Arizona, we are right on the border of California.
Well, the other thing you look at, just like here, you go to Ocean City, we had to rent a car because you have to fly into Baltimore. So Ocean City, I mean, Bikes, Blues and BBQ, there is no airport. You can either fly into Springfield, Missouri, or you can fly into Tulsa. Tulsa was a lot better airport, worked out a lot better. Once again, we had to rent a car. So we do have people that are paying for those cars, so they're helping us out. So
even if somebody would bring a bike to us with our suitcases and all of our motorcycle gear and all that stuff, there's no way we could put all that on a bike and go all the way to Bikes, Blues and BBQ.
Well, if you only went to one rally, we wouldn't have to take as much stuff. You could take the 2 saddlebags like we would do on a motorcycle. You could bring the rickrack bag, because I thought if we end up going and leaving from Leesburg, I would bring that bag instead. Because we wouldn't need, because we're going to be wearing this stuff most of the time. We can put it on. We'd have our helmets on and boots and all that stuff. We could have all that. You still wear you still have that bag. So with the boots we could have on and the jeans, so you could kick a jacket on. So the only thing you'd have in there would be the 2 helmets and whatever else. And so that's what I was thinking if we did that. We just wouldn't take as much gear as we normally would do. So have to see how it all goes. But it's some of the things we could also ship things to.
No driving. Next year we're flying to Daytona. So.
Yeah. So next year we're not doing any more. The only thing we're going to drive to at this moment would be Arizona Bike Week. We're probably going to do that. That's before everything else turns. No, it's after.
After Daytona.
After Daytona. After we come home, we'll do Arizona Bike Week. That she wants to hold a trailer there probably. I was going to ride the bikes over, but she's thinking about taking the trailer and spending a couple of days over there. And so if we do that, and then we would fly back to Leesburg, and then Leesburg we'd be gone that whole time. Leesburg, Panama City, and Myrtle Beach, they're pretty much back to back. There's about a week between, a few days between each one, but not much time. So
Thunder in the Valley, she said, ended last year.
So a lot of the rallies, because the things are just not enough people's coming to stuff anymore. Not enough people spending money. The world's tough. It's tough to do anything. It's like people that whine and cry all the time about going to Sturgis or Daytona. It's so much money. Everything costs a lot of money. Doesn't matter what you're doing. You know, you can find cheaper places, but you got to travel farther to it. You know, I was looking in someplace I was looking at, I guess in Daytona. I was looking just to see what kind of hotels I could find for Daytona. Well, I could find one for $400 for 4 days, 5 days, but we got to ride 40 miles each day to get to it. Get to the dealership. Get into Daytona. Well, no, I'm not going to spend that much time on the road. It's too much time. You got to be somewhere in the area. 5-10 miles is the most you want to ride at a rally. Less than that, at least to be at one location. Then, if you're either going to stay over by Ormond Beach or you're going to stay down by Daytona, the racetrack or something like that, you want to be somewhere in between those 2 locations. Yeah. And preferably buy one. That way you're always close to one. You can walk out the door and go to something. Even if it's raining, you can jump out of a hotel and run across the street and see the vendors or whatever you want to see. So that all makes a difference. So right now we got pretty good sponsorships, and we'll run through that soon. We're going to be updating the website to show you all of our sponsors that we have on there. And they've given us money to do this. We're not pushing any one product that they sell. But we are already putting videos up, like All About Customs. We did the front shocks, and we also did the fat tire kit that's on there. That is the person, which a lot of people have been watching that video, and a couple people we've seen at Bikes, Blues and BBQ said, wow, that guy knows what the hell he's doing. He's got everything laid out. And he says, if you ain't going to paint the fender, I ain't doing it for you. He says he wants to do it right or he ain't going to do it at all. And I'm like, oh, that's the way Joey is. But I mean, the people that we recommend, we guarantee all the work that our sponsors do. And we always have done that with vendors that we've given shout outs for. We stand behind their work. And so now we're going to get to the point where we're only going to have these people, and these are the ones we're mainly going to talk about. Now you'll see some of the other vendors in the spots, but we may not be necessarily recommending anything. We may be just showing you, hey, here's the vendor here, take a look at it. You know, it's kind of like Cyril. We just kind of, since the girl what was her name?
Kelsey.
That we dealt with for a long time. She finally married the owner, and she don't come out to the truck anymore. Since we don't really have her, we don't really, we kind of quit talking to them anyway. But I just kind of walk through the booth and kind of show you whatever products they have, or I might ask them, hey, you got anything new? They have new floorboards.
Just show you guys where they're at, because even though they may not be sponsoring us, there might be something that you wanted to get from that vendor. Yeah. So we'll always walk around and show you where everything is. Just
trying to give you an idea. And if you're always looking for a vendor, even like here in Myrtle Beach, hey, I'm going to Myrtle Beach, you know where go on their Facebook page or go to their website and call them. You know, if you want to call Vance and Hines, you call Vance and Hines and say, hey, I want to know are you guys coming to the Myrtle Beach rally? They'll switch you to somebody and they'll tell you. Because if you ask me, that's what I'm doing. I don't know where everybody's at. I don't have no clue until we get there. You know, and we kind of have an idea when you start every year, you kind of see the same vendors are in the same locations. But especially Myrtle Beach now is all being switched around. Like I say, a lot of them are going to that smoke out rally. The Smoky Mountain Rally, whatever it's called there in Tennessee. So a lot of them are going there now. There's at least 4 or 5 of the vendors that we know, Fairing Exchange, and I think maybe Wide Open Custom might be going there, or they're going to Myrtle Beach. I can't remember which way they're going. And but a couple of the other vendors that told us that's where they're going. I think Sinister Sound, I think they're going to the Smoky one. And so there's
exchange.
So it's slowly switching over, and there might, you know, because they said it's been better they've been going. A Fairing Exchange started last year. And so this will be their second year. And he said, I think they've gone a couple times, I thought. But I don't know. But they said it seems like it's going to be a good rally. It's going to work into something. Time will tell. So with that, I guess I'm done.
So thanks for hanging out with us today. We love everybody and love hanging out with you guys. Thanks for all the questions and comments. If you have anything else, you can put them down here or rewatch it or on any of the ones. You can email us also. Subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Share us with your family and friends. Give us a big thumbs up. Ring that bell for notifications. And we'll see you on the next video. And prayers to everybody down there south where that hurricane's coming through. And hope you're all safe and stay safe and sound.
And no more videos. I mean, no more lives on Sunday because football started. So probably Wednesday now, if all goes well, that will be our typical live because
And so Adam's going to Smoky Mountain.
Oh, is he really?
So he's not.
I can't believe that.
He's not doing the Merle's Inlet. That's
I can't believe that. Yeah, she's always. Yeah, who told you that?
Ex-Ham Biker. Jen says, "Is Arizona Bike Week hot?" It can be. It's usually not because it's first part of April.
But it could be.
But it can be. So, no guarantees.
Could be cold. It could be hot. It's right there.
Right when it starts getting warm.
We've been there, and it's been in the 50s. We've been there, and it's been 100.
Rubber down, face up. There you go. Mike says bye. Are you happy, Mike? We had a video tonight.
And I'm trying to put something together for tomorrow night. It may not be a whole lot. It might be just some riding that we did around town in Eureka Springs. I'd like to show that before it gets sold that it's not worth putting up anymore. I do have a video of a group of riders that they do patriotic stuff. Like if a veteran passes away, they do a parade for them. You know, the parade, do the escort to their funeral, things like that. They go visit people in nursing homes and all kinds of different things. We met some guys and they talked to us. So we're going to be doing a video soon. I don't know when that'll be because they gave us some literature. I got to find the literature. Maybe we have to wait till we get home before I get that done, so I can get that all done and put that out. But that'll be a pretty cool video. And they're all around the United States. They're not just there in the Eureka Springs area. And it might be something you don't have to be a veteran to be it, but it's just sometimes it's more retired people probably do it because, or if you own your own business, to where you can get away during the day to do some of the stuff, but probably some. And then they also go out and just do rides. It's a way you meet a bunch of guys girls to go riding with and stuff. So it's kind of a cool group that we met, and we did a little video for them, and we're going to put that out, and that'll be, like I say, it may not be till after we get back home because I have to find the literature and all that. It's in the suitcase.
So we'll talk to y'all real soon.
Losing your voice?
I guess. I don't know. Alrighty. Say goodbye.
Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye.